Soju, kimchi, and GSL when the foreigners invade. That's what we're talking about today on Inside the Scene. Hit it, Tara. Welcome, folks, to Inside the Scene, a show about people who have passion for StarCraft and where that passion can take you. I'm your host, Drek Sama, and I am joined with the invisible, but now present, Endersword.
All right, I'm not sure I'm invisible. That was the least convincing one yet, but I appreciate the effort.
I ran out of I words.
Yeah, you got to get like a dictionary or something.
I'm going to start putting it inside the show notes of different ones. But as always, we're your host and co-host, and our job here is to bring out those interesting topics that are going on in StarCraft and dive deep with our guests to figure out what does it all really mean. So today's going to be, we're talking about foreigners. Foreigners, Dave. Yep. Technically, you and I are foreigners.
We are. It's weird. It's weird whenever you meet people that like don't understand StarCraft, and then you say something like, "Yeah, he's the best foreigner," and they're like, "What?" And you have to explain.
Foreign to who?
Like, yeah, exactly.
You're like, we're in America though, so how is he foreign, right? So, So for those of you just tuning in and figuring out the idea, foreigners are indeed everyone who is non-Korean, and we're going to have guests today who have all been to Korea, and are going to give us the lowdown. But before we do that, we start off with the question of the day. Question of the day. Oh, this one brought to you specifically by Tara. Who will win BlizzCon 2018? You know the drill, ladies and gentlemen. Throw down your answers in the chat or tweet us. Who do you think will win BlizzCon 2018? Endersword, I almost afraid to know. Who do you think will win?
Haas, obviously. He's had weeks to prepare. He's going to come up with something or other. I don't know. No, it's the easy. Like I think he'll actually do well because everyone notoriously does not prepare for him. Like they just think it's going to be fine, like every time, and then he smashes people. But he's not going to beat the best people. But no, legitimately, I just think Mara's going to win.
You think so?
Yeah.
I know who I want to win. I know who
I want to win, but they're not going to win.
Okay, maybe I should have said, who do you want to win?
I want Special to win.
Yes, that's who I want to win too. Yeah. I want Special to win.
But
I felt like
he might do well. I think he's going to do well, but he's not going to win.
When I was at BlizzCon, I was like specifically like watching every one of Special's games, and when it wasn't, I was like, okay, I'm going to do something else. Because it was just like the whole foreigner hope maybe might win BlizzCon was like a huge narrative that was super exciting to watch, and you're like, oh, this is intensely more exciting than possibly another Korean winning. So yeah, I was all about Special trade, and I still feel like Special could do it. He's really good. Why don't we bounce into our first? I know we have back in the day first, but I want to open up with StarCraft Challenge. Oh, wait. We don't have a short version of StarCraft Challenge. We only have the full version.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Oh, no.
Why don't we do back in the day? Let's do back in the day, and you'll lead us to StarCraft Challenge. Give us back in the day.
Siege tanks a little bit closer. Tasia for the final engagement here, bringing everything he has. GG! Flash takes the series 3-0 and moves on to the grand finals here at Home Story Cup 10.
Marines just then. The next wave, it's 4 more Stalkers and another like 2 Marines and a Marauder.
I mean, let's not forget.
It's tragically seconds before stim. Unless this doesn't line up the way I'm seeing it. I mean, attacking the bunker is kind of weird.
Does get it though in the end, and now he can start fighting away from the bunkers. And every fight,
well, he's
losing nothing every fight. Perfect Blink Stalker micro by Parting.
Yeah, Parting has not lost a single unit yet. That's actually pretty gross. Oh my god.
Kind of an ace so far, isn't it?
He's still doing it. He's still doing it.
What if he actually aced?
This is ridiculous.
Holy cow, he's going forward though. I think he thinks his advantage is stronger than it is.
It's certainly, I mean,
he's
the
gonna
supplies.
lose the sentries. It's the cost of the fight. Even if he holds here, probes were pulled, a gas was killed.
Look at this resources lost how it's 17k to 17k.
Well, he's down 40 supply now and growing.
He has nothing anymore. It's 18 supply against 50.
I think Flash has finally broke him. He's finally broke him here. That Colossus is going to fall. GG.
Flash to be stim, going for the win. He's pushing forward with the Widow Mine and no detection. The economy of Parting is hurting. He does not have a critical mass of Blink Stalkers. The pylon's been found.
Yeah, but Flash is falling behind supply here. Look how red his army is.
Oh my god, Parting is so
Parting's
ridiculous.
doing this.
I cannot believe it.
The Medivacs have no energy.
Oh, what a close fight.
It's going to be really close. Back at the natural, does Flash have any army at home? No, not really. He's got to go home. He's got to go in his main.
If he loses these
can't hold
Marauders,
this.
it might just be
What is happening?
I cannot believe that Parting.
The Blink Stalkers, Micro, the Marauder.
The Stalker.
Yes,
Get back to the main.
died.
Get back to the main.
He's got to go in the main.
Parting is so sick.
Oh my god.
I cannot believe that this is happening right now.
The Oracle joins in on the fight. If he gets on top of the production, there's nothing to stop the Blink Stalkers from ending this game. He's turned it around again with Blink Stalkers. JJ's called out. Holy shit. I cannot believe that.
I don't think Parting can believe that either.
Crap.
Oh my gosh, that game. I remember, I think Homestar Cup 10 was like one of the better or the best.
Probably.
I think
that was definitely one of the best series ever.
Yeah.
Like anytime a game 7 goes to a game 7, which is, or like a best of 7 goes to a game 7 is kind of crazy. Like that does kind of rarely happen still.
Well, that's what you hope for in any like good tournament, that you don't end up with a 4-0 or anything like that you get like those good back and forths. And funny, when I was making these back in the days and I was going through some of the older matches and the older games, we've had a lot of like interesting close calls, and there's a lot of really tight series. And I don't know if it's maybe a bias of being nostalgic, where I'm like, I feel like we don't, they feel rarer, or maybe that when I'm looking in the past, it looks more highlight.
You get to see them all at once because you see 8 years in the past, and then you're waiting for them to happen every 3 months. But I mean, this WCS Montreal.
Yes, true.
You know, like we just had one, so it's pretty, and we just had one in GSL Super Tournament, or GSL Tournament 2, or whatever that was called.
Super Tournament 2, yeah.
You
know what? Fine.
Where it was actually a comeback all kill, right? So it is there. It just Yeah,
and it's just my nostalgia talking, man. It totally was one of those things where I'm looking back and like, you're right, I get to look at 8 years of StarCraft at once through the power of like Wikipedia, them lined up one by one, and you're like, oh wow, there were so many like weird close games, weird amazing things that were, that happened. And I was like, oh, when was the last time that happened? Recently. But all kills.
There's like, I forget the term for that. There is some term for something where like if you get into like a show or like I don't know, even like a web comic or like anything that's like serialized, but you come into it late, then you always have a bias to think that the new episodes or the new instances of it are worse, because you saw 200 of them at once, and then now you're waiting week by week for another one. So you remember the 20 best ones from the 200, and now every new one doesn't seem as good in comparison. And it's like that. I forget what that's called, but it's
probably Netflix binge syndrome.
Yeah, basically.
Why don't you kick us off to the next segment?
So our next segment is our little trivia StarCraft challenge. See if you guys can guess who this is by the end of the video.
Yep.
And then follow him on Twitter.
Way to ruin it. That one should have been super obvious.
Yeah, exactly. But if you follow on Twitter now, it's not Liquid Ret anymore. It's
what?
It's like Ret Jaw or something.
Someone told me, or Satara told me that his new like what Ret stands for is like retribution.
Ooh.
And I was like, is that what it was always, or something he just picked up? And I was
that seems retrofitted.
No. Well, jump right to the art. Start Arts and StarCraft. Let's do it before we get into our guests. Hit it. Give us some art. Start. Ret Jaw. That Hydra image, I should have told them to like focus on zoom in on the smile at the last minute to make it all.
Indeed.
But yeah, that's art from around the community, guys. People with awesome passion to make awesome, cool StarCraft art. That stuff will be in the show notes. That has the link. So if you want to go find those artists, some of them have things that you can purchase or buy. If you want prints or whatever, you can scoop that up. I think one day I'm going to end up buying something from one of our artists that we feature, because there's a lot of great talent out there in the community. And you just keep on coming.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Are you ready? Ready for?
I think I'm ready. I'm ready for the people.
For the people, for the unveil.
For the foreigners.
Well, before we bring them in, have you yourself, Dave, ever been to Korea?
No. I've heard of it.
Have you been to, well, what countries have you been to?
I've been to the UK, US, and Israel. And that's it.
Out of all those countries, which one speaks the least amount of English?
Israel, I would say. And even then, they still speak a fair bit of English. But yeah, between the US, the UK, Canada, and Israel.
And did you ever?
Although I actually lived in Quebec for like 4 years, and they probably spoke the least amount of English. Although they could, they just didn't want to.
But you knew how to speak French, though.
I knew how to speak French, yes.
So that doesn't count as anything.
Yeah, I don't know. What is it, Hebrew? I don't know Hebrew.
Okay, so our goal going on to this next segment, or bringing out our guests, is we're going to be talking about people who are going on, chasing the dream, going over to Korea, and which is obviously the Mecca for StarCraft, and making a go at it, and giving us their experiences on life there in Korea. So I'd like to welcome to the show our guests, reveal guests. Jake Appleby, no regrets, Emmanuel Demi, and Justin Wilson, aka Whiplash.
How's it going?
Yeah, nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody to the show. We're so super awesome. Glad to have you guys. Korea. Why don't we jump right into it? Actually, why don't we do a little bit of overview for those who actually don't know who you are?
Everyone knows who I am.
Why don't we start with you, Jake? Jake, give us some overview, just like the Cole's notes, Wikipedia summary.
It's not easy, man. I do everything right now, literally. I commentate the GSL and ASL and KSL. I run my own tournaments. Yep. I run my own tournaments in Korea. Some fun stuff that I do, like Anonymous and Memes and Dreams. I run the team house for foreigners here. I qualified for Codas twice. And I've been living in Korea since 2016 to now.
How did you do in Codas? Like curiosity.
Pretty poorly, but I qualified for it, so that was good enough.
That's what's important. All right.
And I agent for Dark and Classic too.
Yes, I saw you.
I think that's everything.
Yeah. Would you say you're like almost like a player pimp in that regard?
Yes, I'm definitely a player pimp. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I've always wanted to be a pimp.
Makes sense. And this whole career very young. You're only like 12 or 13, right? It's something pretty young.
12 with an extra one.
Mm-hmm. Practically a prodigy.
Me too.
Are you only? You're not only 20. No way.
22.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't believe that.
Getting old.
Yeah, you're getting up there.
All right. Demi, why don't you give us the rundown?
I'm Demi Love. I'm a Zerg player from India. The only Zerg player, unfortunately.
The only player?
Yeah. Back when I started, there were a bunch of other people. I think this was towards the end of Wings of Liberty, and there was like a bunch of other players. And then once we got into Heart of the Swarm, like all the players started leaving to Dota 2, or they were busy with real life. So I'm the only one that stuck around because I fell in love with the game.
Yeah, that's the story for every country. Don't worry, everyone left at Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah.
And like, when did you go to Korea?
I went to Korea in like February for IEM Pyeongchang. Right. I actually qualified through one of the qualifiers, which was pretty easy, and I ended up playing special in the first round. Got demolished, but it was an eye-opening experience. Oh. I think the thing I looked forward to the most was playing with zero ping, because playing from India, I always have to play with some amount of lag. So I really
I'm surprised you didn't just win. Like, what kind of meme would it have been if all this time we're just shitting on Demi? We're like, dude, this guy fucking sucks. He's from India. Like, he doesn't even play this game that much. And then he fucking shows up 0 ping and just like slaps everyone. He's like, fucking hyperbolic time chamber over there with 100, 300 ping. Take that away from him. He just wins every game. He just micro like rogue times 2. That'd be so sick.
I don't think it's like Dragon Ball Z where he's like Piccolo and he has like way.
Oh, you've never played with 300 ping before if you think it isn't. Okay.
You're right. That's true.
But Korea is also the hyperbolic time chamber too, so that's a problem.
We're gonna jump into that too. Justin, give us the background of you, the old school.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of you guys probably won't know who I am. I was playing StarCraft basically when Wings of Liberty was in the beta when it first came out. I went over to South Korea as a broadcaster for the first season of the StarCraft 2 Pro League. And this was like for the 2013 season. I went on the cast Dota 2 after that in South Korea as well. And I was there for about a year and a half. So I was there basically all of 2013 and a little bit over 6 months in 2014.
So you went and came back, and then you went back again?
No, I was there the entire time.
Okay, sorry. Okay, cool. All right. So that's the good overview. Let's jump into the questions. I want to know, what was your first 24 hours of being in Korea like? Justin, why don't you hit us up? I'm curious.
Sure. Okay, so basically my flight, I flew from Florida because that's where I live, all the way over to Korea. I had the stop though in Japan, so I stayed there overnight. I had a flight, I think sometime like around maybe like 8 or 9 a.m. It's about an hour flight from Japan to Korea. I got to Korea. someone from SPO TV came and picked me up, and he's like, "You want food or something?" And I'm like, "No, just bring me to the studio. I'm ready to cast."
You went to cast right when you landed?
Yeah. I literally like I met the guy. We got he tried to grab my hand, and I didn't know like that was a Korean thing for like guys to hold hands, and it's like it's like a normal. And I was just like, he tried to grab my hand. I'm just like, what are you doing, dude? So I didn't let him. And then I think he got like, oh wait, he's like a foreigner, like he doesn't do that. So he got it, and then we got in the car.
Wait, so how does that whole hand holding thing work? I don't think I've ever heard that. Like,
really?
Was he trying to give you like bring you somewhere?
He was just trying to hold my hand like it was a normal thing. And I was just like a little, huh? What are you doing, man? So yeah, I don't know, but like I noticed that when I lived in Korea, there were a lot of guys that were just friends that would just hold hands randomly, like if they were walking down the street or something, and like there's nothing gay about it. It was just a thing that they did. So I was like, okay.
The Korean promised land.
Yeah. But yeah, so I got to the studio, started casting. Supernova Maniac, my co-caster at the time, was casting alone. He looked like he was in a little bit of trouble, so I came in, and I think things kind of calmed down after we kind of got started. We did that. We got some Korean barbecue afterward, and then I found like an apartment, like the stay in for the night, basically, and I stayed in that place for a week before I found actual housing.
Sweet. Did you not know where you were going to stay, like when you landed?
No.
Like,
I basically found out. They gave me like a 2-week notice. They bought like a $2,000 plane ticket for me and like just sent me over basically. And thankfully it was right as like my college semester ended in the winter. So I got there like early December-ish, kind of like early mid-December, I guess you could say.
So hold on. So how did that gig come about then? Like this was like you didn't go to Korea going to find work, that you had work already lined up like as soon as you were on your way.
So basically the way it worked is like the Collegiate Star League, back in the day, I was helping out University of Central Florida, the college I currently go to, ironically. But I also went back before I went to Korea, and I would practice with Supernova Maniac and some other people. He came to CSL finals. I think it was like 2000. It was the 2012 summer CSL finals, and they were hosted at the University of Central Florida. So I got to meet Supernova Maniac in person. We would like train together a little bit online as well. And I know that there are some English broadcasting right issues for Pro League in South Korea at the time. And Supernova Maniac, I believe he had casted for like OGN and some of these companies, and he knew those people that were running SPO TV, the eSport part of it. And I sent him a message, hey man, I hear like they're having issues with English casters. Like, you have experience over there. Like, you know those people, why don't you just go cast? Oh, by the way, if you need a co-caster, just hit me up. That was basically my application.
And there's like, yeah, sure, bring him over.
Well, yeah. So one of the guys from SPO TV, the guy that actually picked me up from the airport, he messaged me on Skype like a week after that. And he's like, hey, we're looking for English casters. Do you have like a sample of your casting? And until that time, like I'd only casted her for fun. I would cast like random like custom map tournaments and stuff, like just for the hell of it, you know. It wasn't anything super serious for me. I never thought I'd be like a professional full-time caster or anything. So I'm like, oh, okay, let me find a game really quick and just like cast it and uploaded it, recorded an OBS, like upload it and send it to him. Also at the time, like I was not sober. I had a few drinks in me when he messaged me because it was like 10:30 at night. So I'm like not sober, trying to make this like cast for him real quick. And I just like throw it together. It's like a short, like 5-minute cast of like a short game. I send it to him, and he's like, "Oh, I like your passion. We need you to, if you'd like to, you know, work for us, you need to come over here in like 2 weeks." And so I'm like, "All right, let me think about it a little bit. Let me talk to my parents." And I guess eventually I was like, "Well, I'll regret this for the rest of my life if I don't get it. This is like a once in a lifetime opportunity." So I canceled my spring semester college classes and my housing. And I drove home to my parents' house for like a few days, packed up, and then I flew off to Korea.
Oh my god, that's an epic journey.
Yeah.
Why don't we go? I want to go back to that, but I want to make sure I get everyone's like little origin the 24-hour day story. So why don't we Debbie, let's hear what your story is. I know Jake's going to be like a little.
What? Say it. Say it.
Debbie, go. Let's go quickly before you say something.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically I qualified for IM Pyeongchang, so I had to take a flight to Mumbai and then wait there for a couple of hours, and then it was like an 8-hour flight to South Korea. So when I landed in South Korea, it was like so freaking cold. Like I'm not used to the cold. Indians are not used to the cold. It was like -8 or something. And then I was greeted by the player manager. So she took me and Bly to the hotel. And after a couple hours, I met up with Probe and Panda by me. I actually went, that night I went.
Did she try to hold your hand?
No. No.
Okay.
So
Sorry,
that night, I think me and DNS, we went for dinner. We got to know each other a little more. It was nice to meet one of the players that, you've known online for a long time, but never actually met them. So that was pretty cool. So yeah.
And then it was like, was that your first time like outside of India, or is that like just your first time to Korea?
First time to Korea, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right, Jake, let's hear it. Let's hear.
What do you think my story is? Like I fly in and like some drug dealer comes and picks me up, and then like I get sold into like some slave trading. Like my story is very basic. Okay.
I actually expect the first story, but let's see if the second story is not what.
What do you got?
Like, so for me at the time, actually, it's like now that I think about it, it actually is a little interesting. I got denied entry to the U.S.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was like fucked up my plans for life. I was like, oh, I guess I can't be a pro gamer in this situation.
So wait, why did you get denied to the United
because
States?
they thought I was illegally immigrating to the U.S. And the reasons for this is the dumbest thing has ever happened in my entire life. I was 18, and they're like, "Can you provide me a house deed?" And I'm like, "No, I can't provide you a fucking house deed." I'm like, "Well, can you provide like rent stubs or something?" I'm like, "Dude, I live with my parents. I'm 18." They're like, "Okay. Can you give me a diploma, like a university diploma?" And I'm like, I'm fucking 18. What do you mean, like a university diploma? And they're like, okay, here, we'll get you this one, a job, like a payment stubs for jobs. And I'm like, my dudes, like, what do you expect from me? And then they're just like, well, you can't prove enough that you're gonna stay in Canada. And I'm like, okay, thanks for your time. And then,
so was that the customs guard? Like you talking to customs?
Yeah.
Like
yes, the customs would not let me in because they're like, we can't like prove that you have enough ties to Canada. I'm like,
okay, but why would you be banned from the United States for that?
Because you can't.
Because they think I'm gonna illegally immigrate to the US.
I don't know if you've noticed you Americans don't like foreigners.
Oh.
I'm Canadian too, so I'm like the closest to them. I don't even want to immigrate. You guys get shot and stuff. I want to stay in my nice, safe country. Like, I don't know why they thought that, but yeah. So I was denied entry, and I was like, okay. And
but you're not banned, man. You just,
no. I've been there since. It was just like that customs guard was just a dickhead. And then every time I went back, like they would flag me because I was banned that one time.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, why I couldn't fly out of YYZ for that, to the US. Because for whatever reason in Canada, we do our US immigration on our side.
Yeah.
So I guess I think they're a little bit more like, fuck it, we can deny this guy. He can go home. I don't know. It was just dumb. So anyways, that turned out to be the best thing that's ever happened for my, life up to this point. Even though at the time I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Like it felt pretty bad because I had a lot of plans and to do things. Like I was supposed to live at the Psystorm team house. And that's all that stuff fell through. And I was like, fuck it. I have two options here. I can go into the workforce or like go to school or something. Cause I'm at the age where like, that's the decision I need to make, right? 18 is like when you have to decide if you want to go to university or not. Generally, I mean, at this point, I know that's not the case, but at the time, I felt that it was definitely time to make the decision. So I could go to university and quit playing, or I can go to Korea and just YOLO it. Even if I fail, who cares? Spend the money I saved up and then do the same thing, go back to the university or whatever, but at least I give it my all and give it that shot.
Like was your plan to go to Korea to go play in like the GSL? Like that was
and practice in the team house, MVP team house.
Oh, so you had an opportunity there. Like there was like something.
Well, yeah, I was talking to Chris or Huck, and basically I was like, hey, I want to go to Korea. Do you know any connections I can have to get there? And he's like, well, MVP will let you stay there. And I was like, okay. And that's basically what happened. So I went from Canada to the MVP team house. And
in the span of 24 hours? You were just
well, no. It was like a week or two though. I had to figure out what I wanted to do. It wasn't actually that long of a period of time. It might have been a month maximum. But yeah, I was just like, fuck it. Like I had like $4,000 saved up from streaming too. So I was like, I pretty much budgeted out for like 6 months, and I'm like, you know, if I spend this 4K, it's money I'm gonna earn in my life that will never be spent this well. You know what I mean? Like having this opportunity right now is something I will never have for the rest of my life. Kind of the same situation as Whiplash had, that I knew I would regret it for the rest of my life if I didn't take it. And you know, obviously, looking at where I am now, my life would have been completely fucking different. Like I'd probably working some apprenticeship right now. You know, like what the fuck? Like it would be so polar opposite, you know, from what I'm doing right now.
Okay, so in the 24 hours of when you landed in Korea, what did you end up doing? As soon as you landed, I got off of the Seoul.
Scarlet and this is the part we were bringing up. Is this story so far? You're not in Korea.
Yeah, well, I mean, like that's the actual interesting part. Once I arrive, I go home, I play some games. Like the interesting part is me getting denied entry to the US and all this other shit. But yeah, I arrive in Korea after like 16 hours of travel or 17 hours or whatever, because Canada and Korea are the opposite sides of the world. So that was fun. And then Scarlet and True were here to pick me up because, you know, white boys in Korea have a hard time navigating the subway systems and, you know, all that other shit, especially when they first arrive after like 20 hours of not doing anything on a plane. So yeah, they helped me get to the team house, the MVP team house, and then it was pretty much free sailing from there. No one spoke English except for Ryung. So Ryung became my translator, my spirit guide. If I ever needed help, Ryung was there. Gumiho spoke English, I guess you could call it. I don't know how to explain it.
Konglish.
He spoke words, so that kind of counted. But yeah, it was pretty crazy because I'd never been to an Asian country ever, and I was committing to live here for like 4 months. So yeah, it was kind of crazy. I had to use chopsticks for the first time, and didn't have anyone who spoke English. And that was about it. There's nothing else really going on.
No, we got the. That's actually a good amount. Like you could have just ended up sleeping in the gutter, but that's I was expecting to have like a wild.
Somehow I thought I would be the least prepared, but Whiplash is like just showing up without any living or anything.
I mean, I had a job and like lined up.
Job
and SoTV also said they would like find housing for me. Like that was part of like the contract basically. So
that sounds better than what you made it sound like. You made it sound like, well, at least I made it to Korea. Like from what happens at this point, I'm fine. Don't have any housing, kind of have a job, but
yeah, it does sound like pretty like you're off the plane, you go to work immediately without eating, then you go find a place to live. Like that's a long day.
Oh, no regret. Do you have a work visa since you do some casting as well?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I don't know what they did with your work visa, but they definitely did some shady things with mine, so I could work for them before I actually got it.
Yeah.
So
you definitely don't want to talk about this stuff, especially you live.
Maybe you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you don't know. I'm just
saying. You're not in Korea right now, okay? Don't throw me under the bus.
I mean, no. Everything you do is you're smooth. You're fine. There's no issues on your end. I'm just saying.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. But definitely a thing.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
The foreigner. So it seems like, you know, for foreigners, there's there's always that visa issue.
But yeah.
Go ahead.
What?
What are you gonna say? Go say. What you gonna say?
Yeah, I mean, my 24 hours was pretty uneventful, honestly. Like, it all came up after the 24 hours. The first 24 hours was just like so lazy and tired and getting over the jet lag and stuff. And then after, it was like when I had to like start the culture shock. Like I'm living with like 10 Koreans and no one's speaking English, and I'm using chopsticks, and all this Korean food looks weird. It looks like hamburgers, but they're little, and they got a little bit of red sauce that I assume is ketchup, but it's not. And like,
what was that then? What did that end up being?
It was. I was like, I'm trying to think of. Huh?
Samjung, right? Samjung?
Maybe yes. I think so.
It's gotta be that.
Yeah.
Did you eat it?
Gochujang or something? I don't know. It might have been spicy sauce. Yeah, fuck yeah, I ate it. YOLO. It was good. It was weird. It was good. I feel like that's my reaction with all Korean food. I taste it, I think it's a little weird, and then I like it after a while. Except for kimchi. I still haven't gotten used to kimchi yet.
What? Come on, man.
Everyone says that. Yeah, everyone does. They're all like, oh, come on, you've been here for 2 years. And I'm like, well, kimchi's still a little weird as a Canadian.
Stay strong, Jake. Don't eat it.
Yeah, I found kimchi weird as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk food since we're already on food.
Yeah.
Let's talk about food. I'm curious to know what is like the weirdest food you've eaten in Korea.
Intestine.
Whose intestine?
Well, Jimmy from down the street's intestine. What do you fucking think? Drax, what do you think? What do you mean, whose intestine?
All right, what's intestine?
I think it was beef or pork. I don't know. Is there any difference when it comes to intestines? I feel like it's all made of the same shit.
I feel like without eating it, probably not. But when you go to eat it, I feel like there'd be a lot of difference.
Listen, they told me it was beef, and I was like, okay, this is beef. And I tasted it. It was a little chewy. I'm like, don't know if this is beef. And then after they were like, yeah, that was intestine. I was like, what the fuck, guys?
So
they knew I wouldn't eat it. Well, I guess. Well, they just say it was gogi, which means meat, right?
Yeah.
I think gogi has like a specific, like, yeah, it just means meat. So like, what is it?
Yeah.
Meat. And I'm like, okay, fuck it, let's go. They weren't lying technically.
Yeah, I guess. If someone in Canada though tells you, "Here, eat this," what is it? Meat. I have follow-up questions. Like,
yeah,
but just eat it.
Do you have? Well, when everyone just speaks very minimal English, and everyone else is eating, it's like, how bad could it be?
I guess if they are, but I don't know. People eat stuff.
Demi,
Yeah.
honest. What is the most weirdest thing you've eaten in Korea?
I don't think I ate anything weird in Korea. I just stuck to stuff that was quite familiar to me. I don't think I ever had stuff like what Jake just described.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
I feel lied to.
Because I watched a lot of Korean shows. I know a lot of Koreans like intestines, so I wasn't so keen on that.
Yeah.
What did you eat while you were in Korea, man?
I think we had tonkatsu.
Tonkatsu, yeah.
Tonkatsu, yeah.
It's really
Isn't that
good.
pork?
Yeah.
Sounds like pork.
Pork
Yeah.
cutlet, yeah.
Pork cutlet, yeah. I actually missed that quite a lot. That was probably the best thing I had when I was over there. Next to Korean barbecue.
Pretty common, I would say.
Gotta agree on that. The tonkatsu and the Korean barbecue were the top two for me.
What about fried chicken? Everyone loves Korean fried chicken.
I mean,
that's pretty good as well.
there was nothing special about the Korean fried chicken. Maybe we just have. I think we have really good fried chicken in Florida or something because we're close to Georgia or whatever. But I don't know. I don't feel like. I just felt like it was average fried chicken in South Korea. Like there was nothing crazy special about it.
Maybe you didn't go to the right places.
When you lick the fingers off of the actual kernel, you know you've had the best fried chicken, right? Am I right?
Exactly. That's how it works. Yeah. Oh, but the weirdest thing I ate in South Korea was super spicy, chicken feet.
Oh.
It was really weird, and it was disgusting, and I'll never eat it again.
Like just straight up chicken feet? Wasn't in a soup or anything? Like how?
No, I think they fried it or something, but it was really even for Korean food, it was really spicy. I think it was the spiciest thing they had on the menu or something.
I feel like Korean food generally is spicy as a whole, most.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of actual so tonkatsu is the best then. What else is the best food that you guys had?
I like dakgalbi. That's my favorite food in Korea right now.
Yeah,
which is basically chicken stir fry with nice things like rice cakes and I don't know. They have a bunch of stuff in it, vegetables, but it's really good.
Yeah, I like that. What about the like the military soup they used to make during World War II? I forgot the name for it, but it's like
or something like that.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's pretty good too.
I know.
That-
when I was there, Wolf was a really big fan of
Wolf's
that.
a proper meme with that right now.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
He has like Instagram full of that stuff.
Like he actually did. Do you know Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yeah. Well,
He did a Yu-Gi-Oh commercial for that.
Oh,
That's how big
wow.
of a meme he is for it. Yeah, like that's crazy.
What's
Yu-Gi-Oh's like Postmates in Korea, basically, or Uber Eats for Korea, but like more for the companies that do it, not like just random people. But yeah, it's basically the same thing as Uber Eats, I would say, but like way more commonly used thing.
Yeah. Why don't you take a look, find that for us, Tara, and we'll show it up when you find it.
We're talking about Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yeah, I want to see.
I can just pull it up on my phone if that works.
Oh no, Tara's gonna put it up so other people on the stream can see it. Unless you can like put it.
Can they not see my camera? Look you got little fucking.
Oh,
look it.
That actually works pretty well.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Look at how
expecting
easy that is. All right, let's. Oh, all the restaurants are closed, but you can see like they have all these different restaurants with like different stars and shit. You can order from different places. Yeah. Just saved you 20 minutes. There you go.
You're gonna find Wolf's commercial, but
Wolf's commercial. I thought we were talking about Yu-Gi-Oh. Okay, find Wolf's commercial though. It's actually pretty funny.
Oh my god.
How do you find Demi? Did you find the spiciness of Korean food compared to Indian food? Because I know they're both pretty.
I think Korean food is a lot spicier. And when you talk about spicy Indian food, I don't eat a lot of spicy food because I can't handle the spice. And my basic diet involves foods that aren't very spicy. So I think the spiciest thing I had was like Korean barbecue. I think when I first came to Korea for IAM Pyeongchang, we went to Korean barbecue for the second time and we had spicy chicken and it was really spicy. So that was probably the spiciest thing I had when I was over there.
I vividly remember you dying a couple times when we order food.
Yeah.
There's always these one or two, like especially the Europeans that come here, they're always like, no, I can't eat spicy. And we're like, it's not spicy at all. And we'll eat it and it's like not spicy at all as a Canadian. And they're just like dying, like literally dying. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, I didn't even know there was a pepper in there. He's like, there is a pepper in there. And I'm literally dying because of it. Time also does this, and he's from China. I'm surprised how many people like have this problem with spicy from all these different countries.
I would too. Yeah.
I think it's a tolerance thing.
I think you just have a tolerance. Like maybe you've eaten enough tolerance like of a spicy food, and like you're just like, oh, this is nothing.
Yeah, but when you ordered, it also says it's not spicy, but this is Korea, so
Yeah.
Their level of spicy and not spicy obviously is different than, especially if you've never eaten spice. Like I come obviously from. My parents are from the Caribbean, and like they could eat all sorts of spicy food, and I can't for the life of me. So,
yeah,
I would just.
I definitely have a high spice tolerance. That's for sure.
So that then.
Well, I know I have a high spice tolerance, but I can taste spice. It's not like I'm just blind to it completely. It's not like I eat something spicy, like, that's an interesting flavor. I wonder what that tastes like. Like I know it's fucking spicy. It's just I can eat it still. No, it doesn't bother me.
I definitely grew to appreciate spicy food over in South Korea. Like, I did enjoy spicy food, but I definitely I couldn't handle it anywhere near as well before Korea as opposed to after Korea. Like, I built up a tolerance pretty quick, and then I just ate spicy food 24/7, and now I always have to get the spiciest food in America.
Yeah. Okay. That's the funny thing about going back over to any country that isn't Korea. From my perspective, is anything spicy on their menu, I know I can have.
Oh yeah.
There's flames coming out and skulls and shit. I'm like, that's a mild. That's mild for sure in Korea.
Yeah. I got some just standard Mexican food today, and they have the habanero, the spiciest sauce for it, and I'm just like, okay, give me that. Just pour it on. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
Compared to having spicy food all the time, almost every dish in Korea. Everything else, it's pretty standard and easy to handle.
Yeah, the thing about Korean spicy is it's just uncomfortably spicy. You know what I mean?
Uncomfortably mean, uncomfortably.
Well, it's different than Western spice, I want to say.
Yeah, Western spice actually adds something. It's it adds something to the flavor. Korean spice is like, fuck you. You're going to start crying. Your tongue's burning. If you inhale this shit, you actually just die. Like, you touch your eyes, you go fucking blind. It's like you have to sign a fucking waiver before eating a meal kind of spicy. Where it's just like, what the fuck? And they have 2 levels of spicy. It's like, I eat a spicy meal. I'm like, okay, that was decent. And then, they always tell you, don't eat it. It's going to be spicy. I'm like, okay, I'll try it. And sometimes it's actually just like, fuck you, spicy. Where it's just like, sometimes it's okay. And other times it's like, I'm dying spicy. But yeah, they do it for like.
For you though, even after you've gotten some of those spices.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fuck yeah.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Anybody here that says they can tolerate spicy has not tolerated the highest amount of spice in Korea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
True.
Yeah.
So, Demi, when you are we'll go to that in a second. Demi, when you were in Korea, you stayed at the team house. How long were you in Korea for? Actually,
I was in Korea for like 3 weeks. I left shortly before the GSL qualifies because I thought, if I qualified for WCS in Spain, I think I would have to go and get my visa and everything sorted. Unfortunately, I didn't qualify, so I personally would have liked to stay longer, but I also knew that visa to Europe takes quite a while, so I had to go back. Unfortunately, that didn't work out, so feels bad, man.
Actually, curious before we jump onto visas, how difficult is getting a visa to get into Korea, like in general?
It's pretty easy. It just takes a couple of days. Like, it's mostly countries like Australia, America, or like the European countries. Those take a lot longer.
Yeah, and we're talking about a different visa, by the way. This is like
yours is like visitor visa is probably really easy, but I'm sure like working
for us, like we just show up with our passports, but working visas are proper bitch for literally everyone.
Yep,
except for tasteless narcosis.
I wouldn't say that.
Well,
they
now they're
had
fine,
their trials
but yeah,
and regulations back in the
like,
day.
Yeah, it's just it says something to do with the Korean government, like not officially recognizing esports broadcasts the same way they do regular TV broadcasts, and it's like really complex.
Wait, hold on. Aren't esports broadcasts though done on Korean TV? Wouldn't they be
Sure, they are.
So wouldn't they just be considered like a regular broadcast, like a television program?
The thing is, like when you need visas, like the Korean broadcasters don't need visas and stuff like that. I think the Korean broadcasts in general, yeah, they do probably consider that more of a TV show.
Yeah, but
when we're talking about GSL specifically, it's like it's like a Twitch broadcast mostly. I don't think GSL has ever been on Korean TV before. Like this is just, I'm talking very specific, but I don't know. And also you need like a history of working to get a visa, and it's like, well, don't I need a visa to have a history of working? So it gets kind of like it's like one of those weird things where you need like a certain amount of job experience to get a job, and you're like, well, how the fuck do I get this job experience without getting a job?
The premise behind it, which doesn't make sense for this sort of thing, but the premise behind it is you're only supposed to go out of the country to hire someone if they're an expert. If they haven't worked, they're not an expert. But in this case where it's, well, we need an English commentator, obviously you have to go outside of the country.
But he's like, he should put the experiences that he's been speaking all his life. He's an expert in English.
You need Korean experience though. Like
what? Why would you need Korean experience to get into Korea to work?
You're asking me, do I look like fucking the Korean government? If I was the government, I'd be handing out esports visas left and right.
Hell yeah.
I am not the government.
Open up the floodgates. Esports, you get an esports visa. You get an esports visa. Everybody, come on in. So wait, no. Esports should be like, is Korea supposed to be like the furthest ahead in esports? Then shouldn't it feel or be more recognized than anywhere else in terms of the working conditions?
It should, but it's not.
I mean, we're still dealing with the government here, so like, who knows?
Yeah. You would think so, but yeah,
I think it's also complicated because KESPA situation.
Yeah,
which is like a whole different thing that no other country has to deal with.
Wait, how does KESPA play a role in like?
Well, they're like, I don't know.
They like license people and like there is a government process, but it makes the assumption that you are Korean.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think it's mostly a foreigner problem, not really a Korea problem. But like they should definitely make it more accessible to foreigners.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm fortunate in a different situation that I can't really talk about. But like most people as commentators have real problems getting visas.
I'm essentially when you need. I'm going to leave the visa topic very shortly, but I'm curious to know is that essentially you need a company to sponsor you, much like if you were going to get a visa.
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah, and it can't just be any company too.
Yeah.
Like they have to be extremely fucking prestigious.
Is it similar to like US where there's only a certain amount of visas total pool, and then the companies have to like speak their case of why, they don't hire a Korean? Like I know when I went to US, the company had to plead their case of why could they hire this person and not an American person to do this job.
I think you have to do that in Korea as well, but it's pretty easy to do that for commentators. They don't speak English. That's it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I know a few people that Blizzard tried to hire, at least 2 people. Blizzard tried to hire like a Canadian eSports community manager. Yep. And then when they went to cross the border argued with them and basically denied entry and said that it's not necessary to hire a Canadian to be the Canadian eSports manager.
Yeah, I had the same. When I went
Americans. Denying us Canadians for no reason.
Well, right. And it was back before then. I had the same thing when I went to work for Twitch. Yeah, I went to work for Twitch, and it's the same thing. And they're like, well, apparently your position can be done by an American. So yeah.
Wait, the border gets to decide whether you.
Yes, like the border can reevaluate, even if it's
evaluated.
Have it, they can reevaluate it and say this is not a skilled labor position or this is not. Like
how the fuck would they know?
Hey, those high school educated people.
Yeah, what the fuck? Who made them the
clearly know how like IT works? Yeah.
If the government determines that you're, acceptable for a visa, it's impressive that a border guy can just be like, no.
Yeah.
Like
that works, man.
That's how it is. That's just life.
Yeah. I still can't get over the fact that I didn't have a house deed. They're like, nope, you can't. Like, what the fuck's going on?
All right, so language. Speaking the language in Korea. What was there ever a time where you had to ask for directions or had to communicate, and there was just a wall in terms of trying to get what you needed to get across? I'm gonna leave that to anybody. Anybody can jump in if they have a funny story.
Not really. I have a funny story. The first place where we lived was in Itaewon or Noksapyeong area, which is like a pretty prominent foreigner area. And we had I don't know if it was like a landlord or just some lady, and she just like walks in to our house, walks straight in, like no knocking or anything, walks in and like does something in the bathroom. I don't know, like they're spraying stuff. This apparently is like a normal practice, and then walks out. And I'm like, somebody just walked into our apartment and walked out. Like, what the fuck's going on? Like, as a foreigner, this is like scary shit. Like, I'm about to be robbed by like this old Korean lady, and like, yeah, just walked out. Didn't say a single thing to me. I'm like, okay, that was weird. Really weird.
Wait, was your apartment not locked? Like, how did she?
No.
How did she get in?
Yeah, she just walked in. our door wasn't locked. I'm Canadian. I don't lock my door.
Find out what she wanted.
She was spraying some shit in our bathroom. I don't know. I think it had something to do with like seals. I don't know. It was weird.
Seals.
Like,
maybe it was like gas leak too. Like they're checking for gas leaks. It was just weird.
Isn't that something you should like know?
Yeah, of course. But Koreans don't give a damn. They just see I'm white and they're like, well, I can't communicate what I want to communicate, so I'm just coming in. They just looked at me once. They're like, well, you can't speak Korean, so I could tell you what I'm doing, but I'm just going to come in. Some part of me actually appreciates that.
Yeah.
It would be a lot more complicated if she was like trying to explain what she's doing in Korean, because then I'd just be even more. It's kind of nice that she just came the fuck in and didn't give a shit what I had to say.
Justin, what about you? Any interesting times when you had to try to communicate? Was there a time you had to try to communicate to someone who only spoke Korean?
Oh yeah. Throughout my entire time in Korea, I felt like that basically. So I didn't really make an effort to learn Korean until maybe like halfway through my time there. And like, I was already so far behind like almost all the other commentators, like maybe Kaldor and I were at similar Korean levels because I don't think he really wanted to learn. But like people like Wolf and Tasteless, even Artosis at the time, like they all like knew like a good amount of Korean or at least enough to get by. And I eventually learned enough to get by. But like I remember like I went on a date once with this girl, and her English level was like the same as my Korean level. So we just used Google Translate like for like most of the date, basically. But like eventually we got the point across. There are definitely a lot of situations where just people would like be like, you know, speaking really fast in Korean to me, and I'm just like, I don't know what you're saying, man. Like I'll do the best I can. Also, like no one at Soju spoke any English at all, so there are like 2 people at Spo TV that spoke like any reasonable amount of English, and one of them was my co-commentator.
So wait, how did you communicate? Like, did you use just Google Translate and just type it and show them the screen? I'm like, hey, this. Like, how did you?
Kinda, or like maybe like if there was like salt on the table, like she'd point at me like "sogum," and I'd be like, "Oh, salt," you know. So we'd like, you know, learn by like pointing at things or whatever, and like there were a few words occasionally like we'd be able to like understand from each other. So it was like kind of like a fun mini game almost in itself.
What, Demi? Then did you? I'm assuming you don't speak Korean. So how did you communicate while in Korea?
I don't really remember. Like,
It's all a blur.
It's all a blur. Like, I don't really remember going out that much apart from getting groceries. So, you know, when I went out, I just buy the stuff I wanted and, you know, paid and left. I didn't have to talk a lot.
So the whole time you were there, you talked to like 0 Koreans in 3 weeks.
0 Korean, yeah.
That's also a good strategy. It could work for 3 weeks. Jake couldn't pull it off for 2 years though.
Yeah, well,
no.
I actually, yeah, my Korean's really bad for the amount of time I've spent here. Like 2 years is enough to actually know good amount of Korean. But I just do too much shit, man. Like I would love to learn Korean. I really would. I would love it. But I listed like I have like 7 different fucking jobs right now.
Yeah.
And nobody else is gonna step up and do what I'm doing. So
did you at least learn enough Korean to like?
Yeah, I learned enough to get by.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did. I mean, I totally get where you're coming from, Nurgrik, because when I first landed in Korea, like everything was so chaotic. Like I was just thrown to this country. Like I didn't know the language. I didn't really know the culture. You know, I had this new job I was trying to learn. Like I had this company I was working for. I had to find housing. Like the first 6 months of my time in Korea was simply like getting acclimated to like living in Korea. And like I didn't really have time to like learn the language because like all this other stuff I had to deal with as well. So
yeah,
like,
and learning a language is not easy shit, man.
No, especially Korean. Korean is one of them, definitely if you're a native English speaker, it is one of the hardest languages to learn.
Yeah.
Now the writing is supposed to be easier.
Writing is really
like obviously you can get that.
I love Hangul. It's great writing.
It seems really
language,
cool.
for sure.
It's like
if I ever want to impress anybody, I just read Hangul. Like they think it's so complicated. It's like hieroglyphics and shit. I'm like reading it so easily because it's actually just like 10
like
different sounds.
Letters, yeah.
It's like it's like easier than the English alphabet almost. I think like
It's much easier than the English alphabet.
It was like made on purpose by like
it's like a scientifically based like the letters and stuff as well, like the way they designed them.
Yeah, like they made it by the way you can make certain sounds with your tongue. Like it's actually incredibly like simple for what it is.
Does that mean
like
you can read Korean fairly easily?
Yeah, I can read Korean perfectly, and it only took a week or less. Like a week would be slow. I think you can learn it in a day.
You can definitely learn it. Like you can at least like get by in a day of learning, and like you can understand like all the little details like in like 2 or 3 days. It's like reading it is actually super easy.
Yeah, but then you have no idea what you're saying.
Exactly.
So
the problem is
you can phonetically read it. It's a perfectly phonetic language.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really? when you read it, you're like you don't know what the fuck you're reading, but you can read it. You know, that's cool. The nice thing is actually subway stations and bus stops, because bus stops aren't as like English friendly as subway stations. I found myself like being able to read the bus stops in Korean, and that obviously translates almost perfectly into the English because they just take that like Hopjung station is the same in English and it's the same in Korean. Hopjung. So that stuff helped me a lot.
Yeah.
But that was like the only time.
A fun thing is there's a lot of loan words in Korean, like so they're like English words or like German words or whatever, just from another language. And they basically they take the word and put it in Korean, but like it's kind of a Korean twist on things, so it'll sound a little different. Like computer is computer or something along those lines. And sometimes you can like read and not realize it's a loan word because of how different it sounds.
Yeah, ice cream is ice cream.
Yeah,
ice cream.
It's literally ice cream. Like
That's
that's the way it's phonetically spelled. So,
how
like,
much
you can
do
say it like
Koreans tend to, just the average person in the population, tend to know English? Because of course, like when you hear all the K-pop songs, every K-pop song, the chorus is in English, and like there's all these English words. How much are they aware of that, or do they have any English?
It depends on where you're from in Korea. Like Seoul is a huge city. It's like, you know, massive. And everyone there is just so smart and so educated. Like I feel like going to Seoul, I don't need any Korean. I can just ask a random person on the street with it's a hit or miss, but like if I ask more than one person, eventually I'm gonna hit someone who just like completely is fluent or like speaks enough to understand what I'm saying. It's actually crazy how good people are at speaking English, I feel.
I kind of want to say the opposite, man. Like I felt, well, maybe it was because I was there years before now, like, you know, in the earlier like 2013, 14. But I don't know. Back then, I just felt like most people just did not speak much English, and maybe like some people were more shy. I think obviously like the younger generation spoke more English, but like the older people.
I'm talking about the young generation, I guess, mostly.
Yeah,
the
like
older
people,
generation.
they don't speak any English. They don't know what's going on.
Wait, were all three of you in Seoul, or did you guys stay in different cities?
Well,
My city's
I mean, you were in
Incheon.
Pyeongchang, right?
Yeah, my first trip it was to Pyeongchang, and then
Pyeongchang, no one spoke English. To be
yeah,
fair.
no one spoke English.
Pyeongchang is just like a random ass city in the middle of nowhere that they're just like, you know, the Olympics are going to be here, and then, you know, like it was such a strange place.
Yeah, the hotel was honestly that was a proper meme. Like every time I try to open the door, I get electrocuted.
Oh yeah, that was proper bitch. Like I knew every time we'd go up to the elevator, I would make another person push it because it would fucking zap you every time, and it was a fucking bitch to get out of the place because you knew you were gonna get zapped. If I get zapped randomly, not so bad, like you static discharge or whatever.
Yeah.
When you know you're about to be fucking zapped, it's way harder to do it. Okay. And it wasn't just like a random static. It was like, how the fuck is this even possible?
Is this like this? Why does this sound like you stayed in like the hotel created by the guy from Saw? Like how? Like why?
The hotel was really fucking nice, by the way.
Yeah,
So-
it was nice.
Okay, but why is it zapping you? Like
I don't know.
Drek, you asked me these questions like I should know.
It has like a non-Korean detector on the door.
Yeah, it's crazy.
so. I can't get over the zapping. Is it when you put your key card in and it's like, and then
No, it's just like you touch anything metal. Like you know how the elevators are like metal things with a button on it.
Oh.
Every time you touch the door, like I don't know if the place was just like fucking full of static electricity, and like it just like builds up on you, and then every time you touch anything metal, you just get zapped.
Oh, okay.
It was crazy.
In my mind, I thought it was like this is like a security zap where it's like no enter.
No. Not like that.
Like, are they allowed to set traps in Korea? That's something I wasn't expecting. So Demi, you were in Pyeongchang and then you stayed in where's the team house?
It's in Incheon.
Incheon, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a major city in Korea? I don't know.
It's like it's very major, but it's mostly like Korean families. So Incheon is right next to Toronto. It'd be like Toronto and like Scarborough or whatever. Like they're right next to each other.
Okay. So
and you would kind of commute from one to the other. Like Incheon's basically like a commuter city where you just everyone's commuting to Seoul to work.
It's like a bedroom city. Like it's a city where you
Yeah.
live there.
Well, that's why we live here, right? Because the houses are way bigger for the same price. Because it's slightly farther away. Like it takes us an hour and a half or so to get to anywhere in Seoul. And you know, when we're only going I go way more than everyone else because I commentate, but for everyone else, like we're going 3 times a year for GSL and that's it. And like if you can qualify, then you have to go again. So it's really not that big of a deal to actually be in Seoul for us.
All right. So Justin, where did you stay?
I stayed in Seoul. I stayed in a few different districts when I was there. Also, the add to Incheon, that's like where generally you'll fly in, and then you'll just take like a subway to Seoul from Incheon, and that's like about a 45-minute subway ride, I want to say. But I lived in, I worked in Gangnam and Digital Media City.
That sounds like the coolest name ever. Is that
Which
like
one? Digital Media City. It wasn't as cool as it sounded. Actually, it was on the outskirts, and like there wasn't even much going on there.
Wow, what
like,
false advertising?
They were trying like to build it up. I think when I worked there, I know that CJ had one of their big buildings there with like their actors and actresses and such. And I lived in Bongchong, which is I believe where Boxer actually is from. For those of you who know, M. Johan, Solaris Boxer, super old school guy, super famous. I know he's like kind of retired, but he's like a legend. Guys back in the day. Yeah, he's a legend. He's a StarCraft legend. Yeah, y'all know about Boxer. And I also lived. I'm trying to remember the district. It wasn't by Itaewon.
Wasn't?
It was not. Let me look it up on Google Maps. I can't believe I can't remember this, but I have my old like apartment like starred on Google Maps for me, so I can actually find out.
All right, this is a perfect opportunity while you look it up. I want to see that wolf commercial.
Oh yeah.
Let's see that wolf commercial, and then after that, we'll jump into some StarCraft specific Korea stuff. Show us. Let's see this wolf commercial. Let's see what this is all about.
Oh, I found it.
This is Captain Wolf Schroeder, the last survivor. I finally run out of food. I'm not sure how much longer I can make it out here. The levels are running low. Even if they sent someone, it would take at least 4 months to save me. All I can think about is the Korean Army stew I ate with my dad back when we were in Korea. It was so good. Can you do a search for the Korean Army base stew?
Search complete. Here are the results for Korean Army base stew from Yu-Gi-Oh!
What about other applications?
So wait, so his dad is
the best thing about this whole thing is he pulls a picture of his dad and him, and it's just a Korean kid with a Korean dad.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Please tell me the address for the food delivery.
Really?
As a child.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
this is Mars, South Sunnyside area, location number 2018-99.
Because he's a beam for Buttigieg or whatever. What he's promoting.
Is 49 minutes
like a literal meme?
Yeah, like
what?
He gets like thousands of retweets every time he tweets a picture.
Wolf's not even like acting. He's just like, this is just him.
It's like, no, this is actually a long commercial.
Worth it, okay, come on.
Is that so? I never would have thought to ask this once we were watching it. Is that normal? Because like I've seen Korean commercials and like Japanese commercials and stuff, and they're like 3 to 5 minutes long. Is that a normal thing?
뭔 일이야?
아니 여기
화성시 남양 유청 18-9 아니에요?
아니
주소는 맞는데 시방 뭔 소리야? 안 시켰다는데 그 혹시 저쪽 화성에다 신 거 아니야?
Stanley? Is that Korean Stanley?
Yeah.
Captain Wolf's chances slim to none for survival. Our prayers are with Captain Wolf and his family during this time.
Commercials like literal small miniseries. I feel like we'd watch.
남양은 South
And I
Sunnyside.
remember from Pro League, like between Pro League games, there was like 25 minutes of commercials, right?
I remember my favorite
anybody here?
My apologies. Due to an error in the address, estimated time to delivery is 4 months, 21 days, 8 hours, and 21 seconds.
Or an app.
Or an app, yes, or an app.
여기요.
Okay, sell it. I don't know, but I want to buy it. Oh, this is like.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
와, 근데 할인 혜택이 엄청난데요? 첫 주문 할인 5,000원, 인기 프랜차이즈 할인 2,000원, 타임 할인 15%, 2,470원, 결제 할인 3,000원까지 해서 부대찌개 2인 세트 3,430원입니다.
Wow, that's a large discount.
그럼 저는 이만.
To subscribe to get.
never seen this.
안녕히
This is
계세요.
so funny.
It's pretty new.
Hey,
Okay.
what about me?
배달용 우주선은 1인용이라.
Let's kill this commercial. I think I can't. How long
혜택의
is it?
스케일이
They got the
다르다.
fight. They brought him to
여기요.
He's right there.
I feel like
No, it's not some food. It's budochike. That's the point.
Budochike.
That's
I
the
see.
whole point. About
And,
the whole.
and I think I did pick it up at the end.
Oh,
But
it
the premise is that he left and then he realized, hey, you could have brought me home. I don't know.
I feel like he should have ordered. I think the premise was he was
Yeah.
The premise is that he was supposed to order himself to go home. I feel like if he ordered and told the address was his home, the guy would have picked him up and brought him.
Maybe.
That's not how Yu-Gi-Oh!
You wanted the
works.
Budochige.
Never- Yeah, he wanted
Yeah,
budochike.
exactly. It's all about the food.
But why did he go back in time to remember his father? Is his father bringing budochike? Is that
No,
like
he was
He
saying like,
probably
I
remembered
loved
fucking
budochike when I was a kid. I would love to have some budochike.
I see.
Yeah. Don't you ever like think back to when you were an Asian child?
Yeah.
I still don't understand that. They couldn't have found a white kid and a white parent.
They
And
tried to
anyone
get
in
one.
all of Korea, they pick a Korean kid and a Korean.
Pretty rare. I'd like this thing.
I feel like that actually makes
that
the most-
rare. Fuck,
There's a
man.
lot
If
of
you made
white kids in Korea, man. What are you talking about?
Dan has
Yeah.
like 4 of them.
Yeah, I guess one of them.
That would have been way better if they got him and pretended Artosis was his dad. That would have been great. That would have been great.
You should have big thick mustache and whatever. And
I mean, like,
okay, son.
yeah, like G Dragon is finding like black children for videos in Korea. Like they can find white guys.
Yeah,
There's
they
no-
can definitely find white kids if they're doing commercials.
Speaking of white, how difficult? Like,
Making this a racial thing, aren't you, Drek?
I am all about the race. So, how is it the reaction to non-Koreans or white people in general? Too, is there a lot of white people in certain cities in Korea, or like what's the deal
Yeah.
there?
We have like foreigner cities, kind of like how there's Koreatown in Toronto. We have
Yeah,
like
we don't
white
have a whole
Koreatown.
city. Like,
Well,
Not
I mean, we don't have
literally
like
a
white.
city.
We have
call it-
white city like Seoul, and then Incheon, and then this is the white city over here. Like it's like a little district, Like Incheon or Itaewon is mostly like well known to be Western. Like you can pretty much buy anything you want in there. Like they have like Western stores and stuff.
It's like the
And-
foreigner district, I guess you
Yeah.
could say.
Exactly.
But honestly, like there's still like a lot of Koreans that live there. It's
Oh,
just,
there's
like,
tons of Koreans there still,
yeah, I
obviously.
guess they're just more open, the foreigners, I want to say, in Itaewon, and that's probably where you'll find the biggest concentration of foreigners in Seoul, at least.
No, Itaewon, like people from Koreans that go to Itaewon know what they're getting into,
Yeah.
Like you don't just like you're not looking for a house and you're just like, Itaewon, that sounds like a nice place. You go there and you're like, the fuck are all these white people doing in my city? Like that doesn't happen, Like you know what you're getting into. Like I think a lot of people there actually want to embrace Western culture and like kind of try Western things. Like there's a lot of Western restaurants, tons of them, by the way. Like there's tons of really good restaurants for like ethnic foods and stuff in Itaewon.
ethnic being like non-Korean or ethnic?
Yeah, being like literally everything that isn't Korean.
Foreigner food.
Yeah.
Like foreigner kebab.
Like we get kebabs at like 4 a.m. there and stuff. Like
Oh, I've
can
done
do
that
whatever you want.
before.
Yeah.
There's some good kebab places there.
And good kebab places, exactly.
Do you? And this is something I'm curious more for Demi. Like I'm sure they probably see a lot of like white people fly over in Korea, but what about like Indian people? Do you ever see someone like come over to you and be like, where are you from?
I think the only time that ever happened was when in Pyeongchang when we went for Korean barbecue. The owner was like, "Hey, where are you from?" And I told him I'm from India. And then he was using Google Translate to
Figure out what it is.
yeah, and also to like he would say something and I wouldn't understand, so he'd use Google Translate.
Into English, or would he try Indian?
No, like he would. I told him I could understand. I told him English, so
Okay.
he would just translate from Korean to English.
I didn't know if he had like a curiosity. Like for example, like when I went to certain places, they'll be like, "Can I touch your hair?" And I'll be like, "Why?" And it's just because some places they've never seen like a black person before, and like my hair is apparently an oddity. So I don't know how Korea was for they were like, "Oh, we see white people all the time, but like, we've never seen a guy from India."
When I lived in Bongchong, that was like I was probably like one of like I don't know, maybe like 10 foreigners that lived in that district. So like there'd be like days that would go by and I would not see like a non-Korean in that like district. So it definitely depends on where you go.
I live in Incheon. I haven't seen a white person in 6 months.
Yeah,
except for all the people that live here. I brought the white person population up by like 1,500%. Okay.
Do you feel that you've lowered the property values?
Probably did. Yeah. The best thing is every time we have a problem, like because we have a gym here, so like every time a utility, because I don't pay the utilities right away, I let them like pile up and then pay them all once.
Is that good? Are you supposed to do that?
No, well, you can. Like, I think I have to pay $1 every time I do it. I'm like, I would way rather pay $1 every time than have to do all this like bank wiring and Korean and all this other stuff that's more complicated. So every time we're getting late, they just pull any white person in our building, and they know they're all from this apartment. Like, you know what I mean? Just so like any white person. Like Ricky gets stopped, and they're like, "Your apartment. We know where you live. Like, he needs to pay your utility." And I'm like. Like they're asking for you to come down. I'm like, damn, they just stop whatever white person, just assume they live here because there's just so few of them.
I definitely agree with you. Like Korean banking is a pain in the ass. Like
oh, it's such a pain in the ass.
They gave me like this like punch card or something, like all these like letters on it that I had to type in every time I wanted to mess with like my
punch card. Like
no, not an actual punch card, but they gave me a card with like multiple numbers on it, and like I don't know, it would randomly ask like for certain numbers from that card whenever I wanted to do a transaction. It's like a triple authenticator or something. Like they're really serious with their bank security in Korea.
I thought Korea is supposed to be like this. Like everyone has paying from their cell phones and like everything.
Oh yeah, they do for Koreans.
Yeah, for Koreans.
They have this.
They have that. It's just for Koreans. Like, it's really complicated. Once you once you set it up, it's much easier. You know.
There was no civil rights movement in Korea, by the way, because they're all Korean. So, like, there's no like laws, I guess, against like foreigners and whatnot if for like having to deal with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, like there's no law when you make an app be like make this foreigner accessible. It's kind of just like we don't give a shit about you guys. You guys figure it out or don't use our app kind of thing. The worst is actually like signing up for shit. Like I still can't for 2 years. I can't watch over 18 YouTube videos. Like, and it could be flagged for whatever. It could be flagged for excessive swearing, and I just can't watch that video because it's impossible to verify my age in Korea because I need this IPIN and I need the phone number, and then I gotta download this app that opens up, and then I gotta put my phone number in, and then my, name and all this other shit, and all in Korean, and then it just gets so complicated. Then I have to download an app on my phone. It's just like, what's going on here?
Wait, so hold on. Can't you just use like? I guess you can't access.
Don't just say, can't you just use anything when it comes to this situation? Korea is not a can't you just use this thing country. They're just like, can we make this as complicated as fucking possible for you the first time? And then it's much easier.
No, it's curious. Like,
there's like a bar for foreigners.
Did proxies not work?
No, hell no.
No?
Proxies worked when I was there.
Well, not for signing up for like Korean stuff.
No, not for signing up, but like that's to access YouTube.
Like
if I want to watch YouTube in a proxy every time, then yes, maybe. Is that how watching YouTube in a proxy is not very fun though?
No, I know, but you can get like, well, I guess you probably don't want to do it because of the host, but you could get a VPN, like a permanent one, and they're pretty cheap.
A permanent VPN for my computer?
Yeah. That you can toggle on and off, but you could just NordVPN. We should be sponsored by that.
The thing is, I don't actually want to watch these fucking over 18 videos that badly.
I know you don't want to watch the over 18 YouTube videos, but I'm sure that you do want to watch some other ones.
Well, those videos you don't need a VPN for. Which is fucking even weirder, right?
Then you're fine.
You can watch. You don't really need a VPN for it. It's just weird that I can watch porn without a VPN, but I can't watch a fucking YouTube video. Like, what the fuck's going on?
Tricky, man. PewDiePie is going to corrupt you way more than that other shit.
Isn't porn illegal in Korea? Or am I being mistaken?
I recall that you can't, like, everything's blocked. Like, you can't access anything.
Wait a minute, hold on. Illegal? Like, for just the regular consumer? Like
they just they've blocked all porn sites.
It's blocked, kind of. It's pretty easy to get around.
You found a proxy for that.
Even like if you Google, never mind. I don't want to talk about this shit. Okay, for foreigners in Korea right now, guys, if anybody's through the porn blocker, don't put it in the search bar in the top. You got to like open up Google and then you Google the porn site because then you're going through Google's public DNS or whatever the fuck. I don't know how it works exactly, but it's almost like a proxy already, except it's really fucking fast. You're not allowed to make porn in Korea, so don't do that shit if you're a foreigner. You'll get deported.
I want to know, did that ever happen to you? Did that ever happen to you?
I did not get deported for making Korean porn yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's only a matter of time.
Don't make porn, you'll get deported. Watching it, it's okay. No one's gonna fucking break down your door and arrest you.
Okay, but do you know someone like in trouble for how do you know that?
No, I just know it's a taboo thing. You're not allowed to make porn. Like most Korean porn is like, pretty sure it's just like Japanese and Chinese like
imported
over and then make it over there kind of thing. Japan's even weirder because there's like, no, you can watch porn, you just can't watch the dick part of the porn.
That was
it's like, what the fuck?
But that's an American law.
Fault. Sorry about that, guys. That was
Wait, what? What do you mean?
America imposed that law on the Japanese after World War II.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's actually America's fault that Japan has pixelated.
Why America doesn't have that fucking rule? Why would they do that?
Because
they just want to fuck with Japan?
Yeah, well,
this is like
Japan lost.
They had to punish them for the war.
We had to punish them.
So unconditional surrender just means like, no, we're gonna fuck you with you so hard. We're gonna censor your dicks.
Yeah, pretty much.
I never understood that. Day equivalent of like salting the earth.
You're watching porn, you know what's happening. Like just censoring the dick part of it, make it okay.
It just makes them switch to tentacles.
According to 50s Americans, yes, from that era.
It's so weird.
Okay, so turning it closer back to Korea, I want to know, like, in terms of like, let's talk about GSL. Let's talk about GSL. Let's talk about GSL. David, did you go to qualify for GSL or did?
I just went there to practice because I wanted to get a feel of how it is like, or like how much better, or like how farther can I climb on the ladder with zero ping, without any lag or.
How far did you climb on the ladder in zero ping?
I think I got up to 6K, which was a goal I had, and I was pretty happy about that.
I'm 6'3", just to put that in perspective.
your dick. And what was like your MMR? What's the difference between the two? What were you like in India before trying that?
I think when I play from India, I play a lot of the Chinese players, and they play really weird. But when I went to Korea and I played from there, I didn't even play those guys at all. The only Chinese player that I played was Jigua.
But I played good too.
Yeah, and like I think the biggest difference for me was I played a lot of people I never met on the ladder, and I was pretty frequently being matched against 6.4 plus MMR players. So that was pretty nice for me, at least.
Yeah,
and I got to learn a lot. Yeah, practice was definitely a lot better there. And I definitely felt like I was improving a lot more in Korea than I do from here.
Okay, from your different experiences, all of you, what do you guys think or notice in the way that the Koreans practice different than, say, North Americans or anyone or Europe? How's Korean practice a lot different?
Well, I mean, they have team houses, which is something we don't have at all.
Well, you have your team house, so.
No, but I mean, like, even Koreans like living together, kind of thing, still exists. Plus Jin. In general, it's hard to say because right now I think that it's gone down a lot, like the differences between like practice in North America and Korea. But the thing is, when you queue up for a ladder game in North America, you either play someone decent, like pretty good, or you play fucking nobody. Like there's no in between. There's no in between. There's no someone who's just like, they're okay. It's just either really good or they're fucking doing crazy shit, like cannon rushing and building robos on the map and just proxying or doing crazy shit. In Korea, you play a mid-tier player, they're fucking good. Like, you play a top 50 guy, whoever the fuck they are, they're fucking good. Like, you know what I mean? I think it's different for Europe too, because I think Europe has a lot more mid-tier talent that's really good too. But North America, fuck man, they're just crazy over there.
Okay, but so in Korea, players play in close proximity. I think was it Jake that you said the idea of like when you're in a team house with like 10 other people or 12 other people, and even now, right now, do you still sleep in the closet? Or is
No.
Okay.
I used to. When we hit 10, I'm probably gonna have to do it again because December's full. But right now, it's just me and Go Joey. That's it. Juan just left for BlizzCon stuff.
Like just left, because I saw him before this call began.
Just left. Like his flight's at like soon, like an hour or so.
Wow.
But yeah, our house is really empty right now, and then it's gonna fill completely again in December. Right now is the off season for everyone who hasn't qualified for BlizzCon, so it's not surprising. Last year was exactly the same.
So how does, with your house being a team house, like do you try to mirror the team houses in Korea? Like, are you trying to create that same environment? No,
definitely not. No.
Why? What's the environment?
The way I do the environment is definitely productive for everyone. Like, it's different because I don't provide you with a regimen. I don't tell you need to practice at this time or that time. You pretty much have free reign over that. The way I justify it is you came here out of your own ambition. You're paying money, your own money, to fly here and pay rent. If you don't practice, that's your fault. That's just dumb, you know? And everyone practices in their own like way. Like Scarlett will go days without playing and she'll still do really good.
Yeah.
So it's completely up to everyone individually. And then excluding like, practice regimens, everyone does improve by having people to talk to, being able to watch other people's play over their shoulders. Like, there's tons of ways. You can even watch other people's races being played. Like, if you're curious about a Terran timing or something, you can watch Terran players. There's just so much more shit you can do to improve your play, even if it's just theory crafting at like midnight. Whatever it is, you can just do infinite amount of shit with that utility.
Is that something that you could? Because like if I think about the formula you have for the team house, you have people playing together in the same environment and then having good opponents to play against. So
Yes.
Could that also be replicated in somewhere like Europe that also has a good mid-range group of people? Or is it something about like the Korean specific environment?
Well, Korea in general is definitely, like, despite what the Europeans say, Korea is definitely better than Europe. Like, I don't know why this is European, like, oh, the Europeans are just so much better than everyone else. It's like, no, it's like, no, there are good Europeans, don't get me wrong, but Korea is just definitely superior even when it comes to players. Like, we're talking like us are at 6'4", right? And Maru and Dark or Rogue are all at 7K. So like, we're not even hitting the top. Some people can, like Elaser can hit up 6'8" or 6'7". Showtime can hit up 6'7". Scarlet can hit up 6'7". Juan can hit up 6'7", kinda, like when he's playing well. And then most of the other people are just 6'5", 6'4", and that would be considered fucking good. Like, that's what I qualified for Code S twice. I was 6'4", So the skill difference at the highest is really high, and there's just so much, area to improve your play. But yeah, in theory, I think you could replicate this in Europe. It just wouldn't be as successful.
I think you need more infrastructure and money if you want to replicate what the Koreans do, because I guess I got to visit a few of the team houses when I lived over here. I went to the EG house back when they had a house. I went to, I guess, Team 8, which later became Genera, I believe.
Yep.
And just, I guess, I feel like there's two parts of it. Like, part of it is cultural. Like, the Koreans, like, I guess they want to like suffer together in a way, and they push each other. And I don't know if you have that level of intensity with the most foreigners. Like, Koreans just want to work really freaking hard. And in addition to that, they have that additional infrastructure and resources. So, no regret. He's in a pro house with other good players, and you can do all the things that he discussed. But now let's add coaches on top of that. Let's add like an overall manager that's like structuring everything for them and making sure that the players only really have to worry about playing the game, and almost everything else in their life is taken care of for them. That frees up a lot of time. You're being more efficient with your decisions and your practice and such, and that does translate into better players at the end of the day. So you can definitely replicate.
I mean, we already have all of that stuff basically here. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, we don't have a manager. The thing is, we don't have a regiment. We don't tell you when you to play that, but everything else, like, fucking, you pick up your dish and fucking clean it. Sure, that's it. Like, you don't have to worry about anything.
No, not even that. Like, the maid service.
Well, yeah, we don't have a maid that comes. Well, we have a maid every week, but we don't have a maid every single day.
No, I saw some of those documentaries where the maids are like pretty much like hand massages and making sure that you don't have to leave.
Yeah, I mean nobody has that. Apparently, somebody told me Jin Air's house is actually messier than ours. I'm like, really?
Wow.
So like now nobody actually has that. We're all on a level playing field for that stuff.
I guess so. This was like a few years ago, back when like the team leagues were going on. I think there was more money, I guess, in the scene for the Koreans as well. It was a little bit close to like the Brood War era, where there were multiple teams with pro houses instead of just like there only being like a couple of them.
I lived in one of those Kespa houses, and I know what you're saying. Like, but I really don't think there's much of a difference between our house and that house. Like, I lived in both. Definitely was nice to not have to do my laundry, but realistically,
do you do your laundry
my
now?
laundry barely, but when I do, it takes like 30 minutes a week. So yeah, I don't think that level of like difference really matters. There's just so much more that you can do to actually improve your play. And as for coaches, it's actually really hard to coach StarCraft players right now. Like compared to when the game first came out, like for example, no random person's going to come up to Rogue and tell him what to do to make him better. You know what I mean? Like
I feel like the Korean coaches are a little bit more intense though. Like I feel like and I'm only saying this from what I've seen on documentaries. Like obviously I don't know.
Okay, maybe like have you watched any 2018 documentaries of coaches making a difference?
There's
Besides maybe me, I'm the only one, and I'm in a very special situation because but like you just need to have so much knowledge of the way the game works right now. You have to be a player to actually be a coach. It's impossible because when the game first came out, there was so much room to actually improve. There was so much that wasn't understood. Just having a second opinion on things was so huge for coaches back then. But now everyone is understanding the game. All the mechanics are nailed out. The meta is really fucking like everything that's efficient is figured out. So coaches need to have a really high understanding of the game to actually be able to improve anybody. Like to think anybody can actually sit down and improve Rogue's play.
I think there's a level of regiment that can be.
Yeah. Well, another thing about
this, more people get averse to certain things. Like you'll see someone that doesn't make a unit or doesn't do a strategy because they don't like it, or like.
Yeah, the thing is, Rogue doesn't feel like that. You know what I mean? Like if Rogue is not doing something, like my point is the highest level. We're not talking about. I think lower it does matter, but like we're talking Jin Air, having a coach. I think he's great because he goes to all the matches, and I think they can provide a lot of intel about their opponents more and this stuff. But like realistically, you're not going to be fucking telling Maru how to improve if you're not, TY or someone like of this caliber. And even then, how much can you help Maru improve?
I think that back in at least the Brood War days, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm relatively sure that one of the roles of the coaches is they would actually help develop the build orders, and they would research the opponents of the players for like.
See, this would never happen in StarCraft 2. Build orders, never. Researching players, that helps a fuck ton. Like if a coach sits down and just like researches every game that they've played, hands them a list of what they've done in the last 20 games, like broadcast or whatever, that would be huge benefit to anyone who's like coming up with like, it wouldn't matter in like a long week preparation thing where you're like, you have a week to prepare for someone. But if it's like a bracket and like you need like 10 minutes even to just like play that next person. Another thing is the player pool has become so small too that everyone knows everyone. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the skill cap between the really good players and the amateurs trying to break through. Like when we look at BlizzCon, it's almost the same people in contention from last year, and the year before that, you know what I mean? So everyone knows everyone now.
Demi, as a player, as someone who's trying to break through, what was some of like the barriers you found? Like you obviously went to train and level up in hyperbolic time
zone, yeah.
Yeah, in Korea, what did you find that there was a barrier there in like either acclimating to like gaining that extra level in Korea?
I feel like in certain situations I was able to control my units a lot better. Like when I play from here, there are certain situations where I just have to accept that I might lose because I'm not able to control my units to the fullest potential. But in Korea, I felt like there were certain games where you know, if I was playing from home in India, I wouldn't have won because I wouldn't have been able to control as good as you know what I'm able to do here. And I was talking. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so but ping. That's obviously there was a lot of the ping, but like when you went there and you played some of these players, and there's this difference, this level of skill. Where do you find that gap lies? Like, where do you find that difference between your current level and, like, say, some of the Korean players that are at the house or what have you? Like, what's the difference there?
I guess mostly mechanics and decision making. Like I played Gyeongmi, like Hurricane, like 8 times, and I didn't take a single map of him. But then, and the same goes with Special. I played him like so many times, and I didn't take a single map of him. It mostly came down to mechanics versus those players. But then when I played like people like Drogo, like Ragnarok, or some of the other Koreans, I feel like with that I just get a bit lucky with build orders and such, or like I just hit a timing really crisp, and that it just worked. But I feel like if I'm playing versus a player that's like a layer or two above me in terms of mechanics, it's just much harder to beat them.
So, and Jake, obviously, House. The idea is how's the feedback loop then? I'm curious with inside a team house in that kind of environment. Is there kind of like, okay, you've lost to Special 15 times? Do you go up to him like, hey, what did I do wrong, or does you just like, all right, I'm gonna go for food?
On the person, but
right.
Like,
okay.
I think everyone's really open to improvement here, and everyone's really open to the other person's opinions. Like a lot of people lose especially when they're practicing with each other. Like you can talk about your losses and figure out what happened. But honestly, when we're talking about Demi, like if you, well, you're laughing already. Like I'm going to insult Demi. I love Demi. What do you think? I'm about to tell him like well, when it comes to Demi, he's actually just shit. No, I wasn't gonna say that. What the fuck? I was gonna say when it comes to Demi, mechanics are more important than even like small decision-making differences. Like he just needs to play, like if he played another 15, 20, 30 games against Special, he would improve so much. You know what I mean? Like the first 10, that's a lot. He's already probably improved. Like you take, let's say 10 games against Special, he goes 0-10, and then he plays like HUD or somebody. Like now he's going to be way better, right? But if you want to take games off of Special, then you need to play another 30 games against him or whatever. And, you know, just keep playing the same matchup and losing over and over and over again, like 40, 50 times over and over. Just keep losing. And eventually you will improve quite quickly. But there's no, like, I can't tell him like, hey, you should have just fucking made 10 Zerglings here. Like, and then he'd be like, oh, well, now I win games. It's never going to happen, right? Like, just mechanics, which just takes a ton of practice.
Okay, I just want to keep mindful of time. We're getting close to the end of our show. Dave, did you want to throw out some stuff?
Yeah, I just wanted, I guess, to go back to Korean cultural stuff, because I like the thing at the very beginning where someone tried to grab Whiplash's hand. Is there anything in the culture that you've done and had a Korean point out to you, like that's very rude, or that's not acceptable here? Is there anything that you've done that is totally normal where you're all from, but there is verboten?
Not really.
Yeah, you go ahead.
I mean, I'm sure I have done something. I just can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Jake, I'm sure you must have done something. I feel like...
What the fuck?
You do it here, so let alone
there has to be something
you know, I'm extremely well behaved, except for on like Canadian stuff. That's where I can be myself.
Okay, here's something I'm curious. So I know in Japan, it's not kind of common for people to talk on their cell phones in the train and like eat in public. Is there anything?
Those are just like, well, eating in public. Is that am I not allowed to eat in public? Shit.
Well, I mean, like eating while you're walking. Like you're not like in Japan.
I'm not allowed to walk. Have you ever heard of street food?
You can't eat while you're walking.
Every time I take a bite, I just have to stop walking.
No, you're just.
How does it work?
It's just rude. It's rude to eat while you're walking. It's just something you just don't do in Japan.
Why is it rude?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't know why. It's just
but
rude.
I've heard that too.
I think there's some things like, the thing is, if I was Korean, it would be a problem, right?
Think so?
But no one is going to fault me for not like respecting my elders with like certain words. Like for them, they have to like respond with yo when they're like being really polite with like someone who's older than them and all this other shit. I just treat everyone the same, and I'm never gonna get shit for it because I'm a foreigner.
Yeah,
if I was Korean, that might come off as rude because I should know the culture. I should know that I have to respect these people. But as a foreigner, they just know that I don't know the intricacies of like their culture and how, you know, elders are always respected, and you have to speak a certain way with them, and you can't swear, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. And it's even like as like if they're like 2 years older, you even have to do it. You know what I mean?
So is it something like you sort of like the loud foreigner that just comes in and like kicks down the door of the Koreans? And you're like, I'm not gonna learn anything about you. But
no, it's not like that at all. Okay, what the fuck? It's complicated. It's really complicated. Like, and it also only translates when you're speaking Korean, right?
Sure.
Like, there's no word you would use for someone who's older than you to be more polite than you can already be. But they have like literal things like the add on the end to actually make it more polite.
There's
you
like
know what I mean?
4 or 5 levels of like formality in the Korean language.
Exactly. That's not a thing. And we have like 2 levels of formality. We have like this guy's my homie. I can literally say anything. Like, and then there's the like, I don't know this person. I'm gonna be, you know, chill. That's the only 2 things we have in English.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that case though, are there other like no, I'm like in eating. There's no particular thing.
Is there
no? There's the other way around. Yeah. Koreans like to eat with their mouths open. Okay, that bothers me as a foreigner. Okay. I had to tell my girlfriend, I'm like, hey, if you eat with your mouth open in front of my mom, she's gonna be very not happy. And it's just like a thing. Like my mom gets triggered with me when if my teeth touch the spoon, she'll like complain about it. So like, I don't know why, but Westerners just don't want to see why. I mean, I know why actually, because I don't want to see what's going on in the mouth. There's like having a normal conversation and chewing like chicken at the same time. Like, you know, we can talk after you're done chewing.
So they talk while eating. Are you sure maybe it's just the people you know? Is that?
No, it's everyone. It's literally everyone.
Did any of you guys experience this too? Whiplash or Demi?
I honestly, I don't recall too much with people like eating with their mouths open. That's not something that specifically I ever remembered, but I do know that like if you're pouring a drink for somebody, like
like you're
supposed to like the hold like
you have to hold your like
like your wrist.
It's very polite.
Yeah,
I do that every time, by the way.
Good.
Also, when you take a shot, you're not supposed to look each other in the eyes too. There's these little weird intricacies that I definitely do to just be polite, and if I can do it, I will. But when we're talking about language specifically, that's something that you
like I'm thinking like non-language stuff, like
Okay, like for example, when you pay for something, you don't just like hand them a card like this, right? That would be considered rude.
Okay.
So what you do is like you hold your like wrists to do it like this. It's just more polite.
Stabilize it.
Yeah, or you can hold it with 2 hands too if you want to be like. There's just you never do this, right? It's what he's saying is like this a similar thing where you're pouring a drink, you have to like touch your wrist as well, like this, and they will hold their glass, and you're not supposed to look at each other in the eyes, and you take your shot. I don't think that one's as big of a deal, but like especially with older people, you're not supposed to look at them when you take shots.
So do you look at people in the eyes when you're taking a shot?
No, but
I've like never done that before.
That's probably because you're drinking with people that are around your age, and it's mostly supposed to be with the elders, I think, like real elders.
I mean, like, but like after like a broadcast, have you ever like gone and eaten with like the company afterward or something?
Yeah. Do you ever stare them down when you're drinking your shot?
No, I've never stared anyone down when I've drank a shot.
I mean, I don't have to fucking like look up and be like, oh shit, if I make eye contact, I'm fucked. It's just like this.
I'm looking at the shot when I'm drinking it.
Yeah, that's probably fine. But yeah, he is right about that. I think that stuff would actually come off pretty rude.
So that's a good question. Going into the idea of both of you guys have done casting. So what's a business like doing business, I guess, in Korea in terms of, is there any kind of difference? Like you have to, in terms of like, I know in Japan, they have a culture that everyone has to go drinking, no matter who it is. Like if they go drinking, everyone has to go, and it's rude to decline. Is there anything like that where you would have to, like when the company's done a broadcast, it's mandatory happy hour or anything along those lines?
Well, for me, it's kind of one of those things where you can get away with it because you're a foreigner, but like they still care if you don't join them on those things. Like if you ever come out here and you like the best thing you can do is just try to fit in as much as you can with the company. Like that'd be like my best advice. Like just really try to get in good with them and try to follow all the culture and customs and stuff, because everyone's just gonna like you a lot more. And like for some reason, like a lot of the time I would just like go home after work. It's like, all right, I'm done working, I'm going home now. And they're like, oh, you want to get like food with us? But like maybe I didn't want to get food that night, so I'm like, oh no, it's okay. Like I'll get something on my own. I'm just gonna go home. I'm tired. But like what I should have done is just like gone with them every time.
Oh snap! Was that so? It is something. Okay, so that is something similar where like if you don't go, they feel kind of like
they feel a little weird about it.
I've never been invited to eat ever.
Really? Okay, well I like
okay. So the people that I know and that I'm friendly with are all people that speak pretty good English and understand. They're just like not very Korean. I don't know how to explain.
Okay, well that's why, because Spo TV, like they were incredibly Korean. Like I said, like 2 people there spoke English besides the CEO. Like it was a very Korean company, and I think it was also the first time they were doing an esport related thing and not just a pure sport thing, because they're like kind of like ESPN but in Korea, and they're like, all right, let's do esports too now. We're gonna buy some broadcasting rights and stuff.
Yeah, KSL, which is like they're the new Korean Brood War League. That's pretty Korean. Like I don't talk to anybody there, but again, they're not very social or friendly.
Maybe
like,
they they're afraid of you.
It's just so professional, right? Like that's the vibe I get here, where it's like everyone's trying to like not, stand out, and everyone's being extremely professional. It might be because it's really new, like less than a year old kind of thing. Like when I got in, I was like, it was like the first season ever. Probably the first esports thing they've ever done, and maybe they just want to be really professional. But I mean, Africa,
okay, sorry, go
Africa
ahead.
is like polar opposite. Like everyone's very chill. Never have I, everyone's super like I can say almost anything. I could speak like this and it would be completely fine.
Has any other companies said something to you? Have you ever been like chastised? No. No? Okay.
But I mean, I've only been doing it for 6 months, so.
I mean, like, no Korean has ever come up to you and be like, hey, you can't really like talk like that.
I made a joke about life once, and they're like, you can't do that. You can't make jokes about life. Like that is an off-topic or off-limits topic. I'm like, okay, I'll never do it again.
Did you do it on?
I actually apologized to the Korean fans. I did it on my stream.
What?
And I ended up apologizing to Korean fans anyways, because I was just like, fuck. Yeah, like they really weren't happy about that.
That's kind of like Savior as well. Like people like they don't want you talking about Savior. It's kind of like.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, Westerners, we really don't give a shit if you say life or not. But like you say life, and it's like, what did he say? Thou shalt not speaketh of life.
So he's like Voldemort, right? Like you can't like. He shall not be named.
Yeah, I mean, it's for good reason. Don't get me wrong, but just like, I don't know. It's just a different thing for Westerners.
It's a cultural thing as well. I'd like to think as well. They're definitely more touchy about that.
That was the only thing. It never really did it. Like it was my own stream. Like really, I probably didn't have to apologize, but I did feel bad because they, I have a lot of Korean. No, the players just told me like I shouldn't do that for the Korean fans because apparently I have a lot of Korean fans that watch me for some reason. Apparently. Well, like Anonymous it's at Korean times, but there's no Korean broadcast, so a lot of people watch it that are Korean.
What?
But yeah.
One thing I'm curious for Demi, you were in Pyeongchang. Did you interact with anybody of like actually was Pyeongchang done by that was done by ESL though, wasn't it? Or not?
Yeah.
So they didn't even really have a Korean. Was it a Korean team that did the broadcast, or was it more like their ESL standard?
Western.
Was it more Western?
Yeah.
So what was for you doing that experience in Pyeongchang? What was the most challenging part?
I can't really think of anything challenging, honestly.
Oh, he had it lucky. Come on, it's like going to a WCS event.
Yeah.
He had translators whenever we needed it. Like there's nothing. There's nothing.
Translators.
Nothing there.
Yeah, translators and everything.
You even fought through the pits of CUs at 3 a.m. where people are talking to you. You even fought through like random people stopping by and trying to translate or practice their English and stuff. You haven't come from where we come from. Okay, you had it lucky.
Yeah, there were like translators for NICE, I think there were Korean and Chinese translators, so that was pretty nice.
I feel like Demi was in this new age of Korea where he got like everything pretty much done and like super easy for foreigners, and like Whiplash is from like the Stone Age where like there's no infrastructure.
The translator at SPO TV, I would put his English level as barely conversational. And that was the best that I got to work with pretty much. So it sounds like things have really improved, and that's great to hear that more Koreans are speaking.
Well, I mean, the specific tournament that Drek is talking about is like a foreign ran tournament, like it's ESL, IEM, you know.
Well, yeah.
So like the whole production company was flown over. All of them spoke English, and he had like the fucking privilege of having someone pick him up and like pay for all his tickets and stuff. And like they you know, like everything was done for him. But
wow, nice.
When we're talking about, you know, even me, like KSL is all Korean. We have do you know G Clef?
No.
He's just like a Korean that speaks English, and he's like our translator guy. I would say it's more similar to what you have, but still way more progressive than in that aspect, especially with Africa.
That's all.
No,
damn it.
But like if it happened, I'm in it enough to know that it's not weird.
So wait, have you grabbed the hand?
You know, what have I done it? No.
Yeah. No. Oh. Okay.
But I wouldn't. You know, it wouldn't bother me. You know, people go up to Juan and just like rub his belly.
I've seen
Koreans say it's
those...
for good luck.
So is it very like, what's the word? I guess playing this line. I've seen a lot of those. I've seen a lot of Twitter pictures of like, you know, Koreans like rubbing Juan's belly and like that. It's like, is it male culture a lot more friendlier in Korea?
It's just Korean, all Koreans. Like girls do the exact same things, nothing different. It's all Koreans.
In Korea, if you probably maybe if encountered this, I have. If a Korean thinks you're fat, they'll just call you fat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're just very blunt. Like they're super polite about something.
The funny thing is, they don't even think it's an insult.
No,
they joke about it. It's like it's funny to them. They're like, haha, you're fat.
Yeah, like the way they say it is like they're helping us. I'm like, I know I'm fat, and they're like, well, now you should do something about it.
Yeah.
Is that how? I do remember a story from Desro having a situation where the police ended up calling him fat. And
apparently they called the police about the fight thing, and then the police showed up and just started laughing.
Yes. Yes. So for those who don't know, Desro stayed in Korea as well, and he had a situation where there was I guess it was a fight between. He was staying at a team house, and there was a fight. And he called the police, and you know the police showed up, and then they started to like make fun of him about his weight, and I think they offered to take him to McDonald's at one point. Like they just
no way.
He told the story on stream, so that I want you to know it's publicly out there. So I'm not making up something he may have. He told the story on his talk show a long time ago. But he that was my first kind of encounter of that, how they are very blunt about how your weight.
I have some fun stories about
the funny thing is it's not actually as malicious as like, at least if you maybe the police.
No, it's usually like a joke.
But like I've had like Solar is a good friend of mine, and he will call me fat sometimes. I know it's not malicious.
Like in a joking way, or he would like, you want to come running on it?
You're fat. You should also
yeah, it's not. I don't even know if it's joking. It's just like being blatantly obvious. They're just like they look at you like, "Hey, fatty."
Koreans are weirdly blunt about some things, and other things they will just like never bring it up.
Yeah, it also depends on how friendly you are with them. I don't know. It's weird.
The first time I met Mal, the English Korean translator, we were out at like a buffet or something, and I said like, oh, I don't eat most of the food here, and he just pointed at me and was like, does it look like you don't eat most of the food?
Jesus.
Like, and were you like flabbergasted? Just like
it was funny, like it was meant as a joke, but I didn't know him, so it was very blunt. But like that was the first time I met him, so it's a blunt thing to say, but it wasn't meant maliciously or anything. It was.
I think I can acclimate to that kind of culture. Yeah, that sounds like a fun.
Yeah, I've never been offended by a Korean calling me fat ever.
Have you been offended by a Korean at all?
No, Koreans can't offend me. I am offendedless.
I think even if Koreans offend you, it's just kind of funny.
Yeah, they can't.
Regret, have you ever been denied entrance to a place?
No, but I've had taxi drivers be like, no, and they won't even ask where I'm going. They'll just be like, no.
I haven't
I'm like,
had
okay.
any issues with taxi drivers, except one guy tried to F me over. Like,
Make you pay more?
He basically took me to like the opposite side of the city, and like I halfway through, I'm like, you're not. I was thinking to myself, like, he's not taking me where he needs to. And it was the only time like I ever like didn't pay for a cab, because he like literally like took me halfway across the city and like was trying to screw me over and make me pay more money. And
yeah, I've had that.
Did he turn around and just say, "Look at me now, I'm captain," and demand more money?
No, I mean, like, I just fucking got out and dipped. I'm just like, screw this. This is like bullshit. Like, this guy's trying to, to cheat me out of some money. Like, so I'm not paying him. That's kind of how it went down.
I've had that happen, but I ended up paying because I didn't know what the fuck to do, really.
Well, what I did is I told the guy, like, I don't have any money. I mean, like, I have to get it from my apartment. And then I just left.
Did you run?
By the way, like, no, I just like walked up. It was like night. Like, I had a few drinks. I was very unhappy with him. Like, I was pretty mad at him, actually. Like, I don't normally do that kind of thing, but it was a pretty extreme situation.
Yeah, I had a taxi driver take an hour to get to my home once. And
Which
it's like,
okay, if he takes you an hour, I would not pay. Like, that's pretty much what happened to me. It was like it was supposed to be a 15-minute drive, and it was like 45 minutes. And I had to start talking to him like, yo, like, where are you taking me, dude?
What happened in like 30 minutes? Like, why didn't you be like, this shouldn't take this long? Or like, did you?
What are you gonna do? Fucking tell him how to do his job? Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, what was I gonna say to him anyway? Like, he was just a random Korean taxi driver that probably spoke like next to no English.
Yeah,
like,
taxi drivers, none of them speak English. There's a reason why they're taxi drivers,
Yeah,
or they just don't give a shit.
I did memorize how to like do all of like my driving and like getting food and stuff in Korean, because like it's just easier to do it that way, and it's not as difficult. So I just memorized like telling the taxi driver like where I live, how to get there, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty simple stuff. I don't even do that. I just show them an address. I don't even care. Problem is, if I speak any Korean, that's an invitation to speak all Korean. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So like, I don't do that because I know if I say my address in Korean, they'll ask me like which directions, like right or left, if I'm okay with toll routes, if I'm doing this, if I'm doing that. I'm like, whoa, okay, just chill. I don't know what, like, half, I understand half of it, but the other half is just slipping by. And I just find it just way easier to pretend I'm a complete foreigner, show my address, and just sleep the whole way,
Demi,
I do that a lot, actually.
Demi, did you have any situations that when traveling in Korea, having to?
Not really.
Demi is privileged. You can't ask him about any situations. He came to a team house that I built for him with my bare hands. Okay.
Oh.
How did you end up getting the apartment, by the way? Like, do you rent it out to other people, or what's the situation with it?
Yeah. So I guess the MVP team house was the team house I lived in. It died. So we didn't really have many choices. And me and Sasha are like, fuck it, let's get our own apartment. We'll have room for like one more person. And we did that. We brought in Alex or Neeb, and he won Keswick Cup. We're like, fuck it, this is doing really well. We'll expand it. So we went into a bigger house in Chilim. It was like half the size of our current apartment, but much bigger than our first apartment. That went really well. We were full almost the whole year. And then we're like, fuck it, we're going to go even bigger. So yeah, now we're in like this really big apartment. We had like 10 people now, and everyone pays like $300 a month.
Oh,
and
that's pretty.
That's it. Yeah, they have all their computers, their monitors, everything is here. I go pick them up at the airport. Like these motherfuckers are so privileged, they don't even know.
That is a ridiculously good deal, man.
Yeah, so like everyone's like set. So they come here for like 2 months at a time. They pay like $600 for 2 months. Everything's covered for them, and I help them all the way.
That's so
and
nice.
Then, yeah.
That's a sick setup.
So is like $300 is like super cheap, even like North American standards. So how,
I mean, like I'm in it for like no money whatsoever. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean
directly to the house.
Just to live anywhere. I would imagine, like even living in a student housing, $300 is like incredibly cheap. So is housing in Korea like more affordable than most? Oh,
I mean, it's like if you compare it to like New York City, sure, but like Seoul housing is actually pretty expensive.
Okay,
This isn't Seoul. Like this apartment here is 160 meters squared, and it costs $1,300 per month, and it's an hour from the city.
Say that number again.
160 meters squared is like, you know, I don't know how many square feet.
I don't know what square feet. Like I only know square feet.
It's like 1,800 maybe square meters or
Okay.
square feet. It's pretty big. It's okay. It's not huge. It's 4 bedrooms. It's pretty much the biggest thing I could find, and then I found an even bigger one, but maybe next year. And it's $1,300, which is, you know, kind of expensive, but not really. And then our utilities are like $600-700 a month, except for 1 month in the summer, which was $2,500.
Wait, what?
But yeah, our utility bill, electricity was $1,400.
Is that because you like didn't pay it and let it accumulate?
No,
you sure?
Just that month was 14. Yeah. What do you think? You think I just like don't pay it all the time, and then one time it's like $1,400 now? It's a dollar fee every time you don't pay.
On all the computers.
But you have like a 3-month cap. Like the 3rd month, then you start paying a ton. So I always pay before that. But anyways, yeah, our utility bill is $2,500 that 1 month because we had air conditioners in every room. We have 10 computers. We have 2 fridges. Like it makes sense.
Okay, yeah, that would do.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone pays $300. It essentially equals out to like $3K or $2.5K per month. We get.
Wait, do you guys split? Do you guys split the utilities? Though?
Everything. It all comes to me, and then I pay all that. Out. Like and no one touches any of that stuff.
Oh.
Nice.
What happens if you're short? What happens?
Well, I pay it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I have like special contract deals with Blizzard that don't directly support the house, but do at the same time.
Nice.
So and it's not. Yeah, I can't talk too much about it, but
that's fine. It's more than it's.
There is ways to sub. Yeah, there is a safety net, exactly. Like right now, we have 1 person. That is not 3K. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we would just be completely done if we didn't have any safety net at all. But you know, in December we have 10 people again. So basically, I keep it at a flat rate that almost equals out to no gain / no loss the entire year.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, just to make it more accessible for everyone.
So then you find other ways to make money, like casting.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, casting's great for that. And then there's the tournaments I run. Like Anonymous is extremely successful. Memes and Dreams, they all pay for themselves, and then whatever else we make on it is profit.
Nice.
Okay. So like I try to make as many different revenue sources that isn't the team house specifically when it comes to like player rent. Like I don't want to make my money off of like player rent specifically.
You sure?
Though I
like
probably could.
Major man, you're doing a good job out there.
Yeah, feels like it sometimes, but playing games is kind of the same thing, right?
What?
The way I learned how to manage my economy is by managing minerals and gas.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
All right. So running up to the end of it, Dave, you want to put some of our last couple questions before I?
Do you want to just go? Well, let's ask this one because it's interesting. But do you ever feel lonely? Is basically this question.
Me?
I'm
the only one who lives in
You're the
Korea.
only one that actually lives there, but Whiplash obviously before. Probably not Demi. You were only there for 3 weeks.
Yeah,
but,
Demi wasn't lonely.
But yeah, like, is there times there, especially like now, where everyone's kind of gone?
Oh hell no, dude! This is the best time. Holy fuck! I get my own fucking house to myself.
Yeah.
Juan's not playing the Pokemons out loud, and I don't have a million people asking me different things to do for them. Like this is the life. I'm living it right now. I have a massive house to myself. 10 computers. I could play 10 different games of fucking like solitaire right now if I wanted to.
Well, I know that sometimes though, what happens with Koreans when they live abroad is that they get lonely because of.
I mean, everyone gets. Well, for the Koreans, it's different because like I'm surrounded by English speakers. But even when I was living at MVP House for 3 or 4 months and there was no one there, I was perfectly fine. But I think I'm special. Like I play video games for a living, you know.
Yeah.
Like going outside is not something that I do. The only people that I actually felt like I missed my dog more than my parents, but like I haven't seen my parents I usually see them once a year now. Like I like them, don't get me wrong, and I miss them, but I'm not gonna fly back home to just visit. And plus I have a long-term girlfriend here, so like we've been together for 2 years, which helps with that. So
nice. She won't leave you to be lonely. All right, what about you, Whiplash? Were you ever like lonely when you were there?
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely a few points. Like, I want to say, like, within the first 3 months, there was like one time where it really hit me. I'm like I'm like so far removed from like where I was originally from, and like this is just such a foreign environment to me. And like I think that the biggest thing that makes it like that made me feel lonely was just like it was so hard to communicate with people, especially early on when I really didn't know any Korean. It's just like I wanted to like tell someone or explain something to somebody, but I couldn't because like they don't know any English or like I couldn't speak enough Korean. So like it kind of made me feel a little isolated in a way. But like after like a year there, I was like I could have seen myself like living in Korea for the rest of my life, kind of thing.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, like I still view it as like it's like my second home. Like I feel like the culture like really rubbed off on me, and like I definitely am gonna go back and visit Korea again one day. Like it definitely is like
Hit me
like
up.
one of my favorite places. Definitely will, man. And also, unlike regret, I definitely went out a lot. I did live in Seoul as well,
Yeah.
so that was a big part of it.
Is that like a party city? Is Seoul like everyone's? There's always something going on in Seoul.
That would be an understatement. You can literally
Yeah,
go out
Seoul is
any
like the party city of the world. Fuck.
It's of the world. Like there's
Yeah.
no better place to party than Seoul, in my opinion.
They have like parks that were like, this is the sleeping park from when you party too hard. And like it's literally like a designated sleeping park. The funny thing is, you guys giggle. This is like actually like a thing. It's just like you can sleep here. It's comfortable. Like there's some benches and shit. Like Seoul goes fucking hard when they go hard.
Like I would
Tuesdays are packed.
I would see old people like passed out like at like late at night, like on like the side of the road or like the sidewalk. There are like there would be times when the subway will close at like 2 a.m. I think around there, and it opens back up around 5 or 6. There'd be some nights where I would literally just stay out until the subway opened up. So and that's how I would get home.
Oh yeah. Beats paying for a taxi.
Yeah, and like compared to like last call 2 a.m. in most places in America, and I want to say I guess the Western world in general, unless you're in like a really big city, that's pretty standard. So going from like that to like Korea, where like there is no last call, like can
you just drink
out.
all night.
Like I think my record was I was out drinking until like 10 a.m. in the morning. That was my record.
I haven't done that yet.
Go for it, man. It's a good challenge.
Demi, did you do any drinking while you're out there? I don't even. Do you drink?
I don't drink.
Oh man, you just stayed in the team
I'm a
house.
boring person. Yeah.
Did you do?
You're a healthy person.
Yes, you are. Did you do any nightlife while you were out there?
Yeah, you know, drinking is kind of boring when you compare it to cocaine, but I wouldn't suggest going ham with that.
That Demi takes cocaine? Is that what
No, I'm just saying, like he's like, I'm a boring person. I'm like, well, we're all kind of boring people, right? Like drinking isn't insane when you compare it to cocaine, right?
Drugs are highly illegal in Korea, though, for the most part.
Yeah, you don't fuck with that shit.
What do you mean? Like incarceration level?
They will send you to jail and then deport you if you're lucky. If you you're caught with like drugs.
Are we talking about hardcore drugs, but like marijuana?
I'm talking about anything besides alcohol and cigarettes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like marijuana is just as bad as like coke or something else. It's just it's all bad. Don't fuck with that. Here.
Yeah, you stay away from that stuff.
Marijuana is legal in Canada, by the way. That's good.
Yeah, congratulations to all you Canadians.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
I'm gonna bring a bunch of it over here. No, I'm just kidding.
you can order it. In Ontario, where we are, you have to order it through the mail for a few months, which is just bizarre.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
But yeah.
Well, it's a step in the right direction. Okay, so Demi, though, what did you do while in Korea? I'm actually curious now before we round up, because I'm curious to know, other than staying at the team house, did you do anything like sightseeing, hang out outside of the team house?
Not really. I just practiced at the team house. Look, I'm a boring person.
Committed though. Committed.
No, that's the right way to do it. That's how you get into Code S GSL, right, Norga?
Yep. Exactly.
Why don't you give him tips? You should have given him tips on how to get Code S.
They did.
Yeah.
He did.
He just kept yelling the word bailing at him over and over.
All right. Second to last question. What do you miss the most about Korea? Well, obviously nothing to you, Norget, because you're still there, but Demi, so we'll start with you. What do you miss the most about Korea?
The ping. I think that's the only thing I miss. The ping and the ladder. I guess for me, I miss being able to play against high-level opponents every other game.
All right.
It's not the I don't have that luxury here at all. So And I miss the food as well. Like I miss the tonkatsu. I miss the galbi.
That galbi's fucking good.
Yeah, I really miss the galbi.
Whiplash, what do you miss?
Everything pretty much. The girls, the culture, the people, all how it's just so like it's such like a tech based like location, you know, like everyone's playing games, everyone knows about gaming over there. That's changing a lot more in the rest of the world, but like I guess it was a weird transitional time. Like before I went to Korea, like esports like still didn't really exist outside of Korea, and then when I came back, like all of a sudden esports exploded and like it was starting to pop up everywhere. So I guess like that was kind of cool seeing. It was something that definitely Korea had, and now the rest of the world's kind of catching up in a sense.
Absolutely. Jake, what would you miss if you had to leave Korea right now? Come back to Canada. We pulled you back to Canada.
A lot. I think the biggest fucking thing for me is the public transit system is insane here.
Yeah.
It's like by far the thing I miss the most when I leave Korea. Like I don't have a driver's license in every country. I don't have a car in every country. Here, I can go literally anywhere for like $1.50, literally anywhere, and it's just so easy. It's so efficient.
Like across from one side of the country to the other.
Well, it would be a little bit more than $1.50, but you totally could.
Like, what?
It would be like $12 to go from one side of the country to the other. It's like still insanely cheap.
Yeah,
that must make making like pro leagues and stuff like that really easy. Because
everything is so easy. It's just so great. Like
you can summon someone from any part of the country.
There's just buses everywhere where there isn't subways, and there's subways literally everywhere. You know, that's what I would miss the most because I don't have a car at home, and getting out would be way harder in Canada.
You can drive
and way more expensive. Yeah, I can, but I don't have a car.
Sucks compared to the
and driving does suck. Yeah,
in Korea, like it is actually just amazing over there. It's the best public transportation I've ever been to, like anywhere in the world.
Yeah, it really is. And it's also like surprisingly not as packed. Like some lines are really packed, but for what it is, like it's actually mostly comfortable unless you hit the peak like hours. So I really have no complaints about the public transit system at all. It's just so great. The one thing I could say is if it was 24 hours, that would be like even more insane. But
perfect.
Yeah, like if they could do that, that would be amazing. But obviously, there's limitations.
They could totally pull that off.
I think they could, especially like the Green Line. Like, there's no way it would never be like popular all night, all day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be what I would miss.
Canada can definitely learn from that, for Toronto specifically. All right, so rounding up last question, we'll start with Demi. What is, and we ask this question, usually ask this question every time on our show. What is the best thing you ever purchased under $100?
$100.
Under $100. And you have had to have bought it, but not like can't be gifted to you.
I really don't know. Like, if I have to think,
all right.
I guess my VPN. Because I have to like for WCS and such, I have to play on the Australian server, and without VPN, the ping is like 290 or something, which is torture. So I found this VPN, which is like I was actually talking to Snood, and he was like he recommended me ExpressVPN, and a yearly subscription was like $70. And ever since I bought that VPN, I've not had any issues with ping at all.
We should put that as a note to one day look for a VPN sponsor. I feel like your entire life.
VPN sponsors everyone. Contact them.
I feel like your entire life is plagued by ping. I feel like that's like, like every problem that's ever come across you in your StarCraft career has been like ping is your mortal enemy. Justin, what's the best thing you've ever purchased under $100?
It's got to be the StarCraft 1 battle chest that I randomly saw at Target like 2 years after I went to a computer camp and originally discovered StarCraft. I forgot about it. And then I saw it there in like the aisle with all the other games. I'm like, I remember that game. It was really fun. I'm gonna buy that game. And that was the beginning of StarCraft for me.
Jake, best thing.
Well, I would say StarCraft 2, but that's boring as fuck. Not to jab at anybody here. No, I'm just kidding. I think StarCraft would obviously be the most important thing that I've ever purchased, but excluding that, I'm just trying to think of things I use every day because that would probably be the most value. It would have to be either like a different game, like a game that I play casually. Like for example, I think I'm playing City Skylines right now while we're doing this podcast.
Is that like the best thing you've ever purchased? The most impactful thing?
Well, like it's just something that impactful. It has to be StarCraft. So like, there's nothing else that's more. Maybe headphones. Like I use these things every day. They're fucking useful. You know.
What headphones are they?
They're the One More ones or whatever.
Yeah.
They're really nice.
See, that was Jesse from Ting's answer too. His headphones. There were different ones, obviously, but yeah, headphones.
I think headphones would be mine. If you like, excluding StarCraft, obviously.
Yeah. Obviously.
I'm just picking whatever I use the most, and yeah.
That you use every day.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So that's the rounding up of our discussion on foreigners in Korea. Why don't we give a shout out? Where can people find you, Whiplash, on the internets?
You guys can find me on Twitter. I'm at Whiplash. That's YEAH Whiplash. I'm mainly working in the production space right now. I'm finishing up getting my degree at University of Central Florida in radio television production, and the goal is to do production in esports, kind of more behind the scenes stuff after I graduate. So if anyone's watching this, maybe one day you'll see me working in esports. Just come up, say hi to me.
What position like are you specifically training for?
Oh, I want to be the best esport director in the world for live events.
Ooh, maybe I'll talk to you after this. Demi, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at DemiSC2. I'll probably be continuing with StarCraft for like another 6 months till like next year.
Oh God,
like
please don't retire. India will have no representation at all.
Like for the first 3 seasons at the very least, and I'll go back to playing casually and go back into like studying seriously. I did business administration into college, so I probably want to go into that once I'm done.
I think Jake is right though. There will be no one left in India.
Yeah, don't leave, man.
Like I won't leave completely. I'll still play tournaments.
Just imagine if India blows up in StarCraft. Like you can have like 1 billion fans. Like
cricket. Like it's cricket.
Yeah, like just randomly StarCraft takes off, you're set for life. You'll be like a national celebrity.
Yeah, but that'll only happen if I win a tournament like WCS or something.
What about WSG?
They have not announced anything for WSG for India.
Oh, I thought each country had their own regional qualifier.
Yeah, they did that last year, but I don't think they're doing the same thing this year.
Yeah, they've been very slow with announcing stuff for this year.
They literally cuck me as a team house guy every time because they're like, no one wants to come because they're not sure when WSG is going to happen.
Yeah.
That's why we have no one here right now.
People are doing their qualifiers right now. Like,
yeah.
America is this week or next week, and then Canada is 2 weeks from now. So
I didn't play in the Canadian qualifiers at all.
What? I thought I saw your name on the qualifier.
I didn't play.
Oh, weird. Okay, Jake, where can they find you? What can people find out about your adventures and what's going on with you?
I guess Twitter. Yeah, twitter.com/UnfairNoGuy. You guys already know though. Like anyone who follows you follows me. It's true, to be honest. We're both Canadians, you know.
Yeah, both Canadians.
But you are casting, in addition to KSL, ASL, GSL, you're also casting the Africa Team League too, right? So,
yeah. Oh yeah, I'm doing. I forgot about that. I'm doing that tonight in in some crazy amount of hours, 11 or something.
I like how
time to sleep.
Dave knew.
I'm gonna cast it on Africa, so I'm gonna have no viewers, but that's okay. We're gonna practice.
And for those wanting to watch it, it is on at I believe like 8 a.m. Eastern time.
Oh, that's not bad for Korean.
Stay out. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't stay up. That's a bad idea. That's what I'm doing now.
Wait, is that StarCraft 2 or Broodor?
StarCraft 2.
Yeah, but it's got like Don Goose in it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm literally just doing it because I wanna watch these games without.
Who are you casting with?
Nobody. It's just me.
Solo casting? That's no fun.
Yeah, I mean, I would cast with other people, but I'm not social enough to find people to cast with.
Wait, so who's your normal? So who's your normal? So like other than Artosis, like do you have like a regular like...
rapid casting?
But
yeah, that's about it. I don't really have like
an Archon. Like
okay. I would say Rapid's probably my closest thing to my Archon if you don't count Tasteless or Artosis. Right. And they're not going to cast this Africa TV BJ League with me. I actually don't mind solo casting because I can just do what I'm doing now and be really fucking casual and really chill.
Yeah.
It's like a totally different atmosphere and it's not really a common like a cast, but at the same time it's something enjoyable about it at the same time,
I've always enjoyed trying to be like pretty like serious and like professional in my casting. Like, I mean, I still like the crack jokes and stuff, and like my I guess camera persona, I'm I guess a lot more crude and I'll just kind of say whatever I want, but like I don't know, I handle it a little differently when I'm broadcasting.
I'm super professional in like GSL. I will never speak like this, right? In GSL, very professional, and I also enjoyed that.
Is that a personal thing, or did someone instruct you?
They don't force me. I just know like if I'm gonna ever be a WCS caster, which is my goal, and I think it's a very big possibility that I'll be a WCS caster next year. But like I definitely don't want to be like doing crazy shit all the time. I can't do it. Like I'm not in control yet. I would love to do it eventually. Like if I can sneak it in eventually once I'm established. But you can't do it as like an up and coming caster. You can't just be like that really edgy like person that you're worried is going to say like the N-word or something on a broadcast. Like that just you can't have that. No one will hire you.
Well, yes.
So yeah, I stay really professional in my professional stuff. But like if I'm just doing an Africa TV BJ League and it's just like me and my 40 bros, like I'm not going to go fucking all out. Like I actually have to work really hard to keep that professional persona because I'm fighting my persona. You know what I mean? It's actually a lot more work than like just so it's just so much more easier. It's way easier for me to just chill.
All right. Absolutely. All right, so that's our guests. Dave, tell the people where they can find you.
Find me at Endersword on Twitter, but more importantly, find me here tomorrow for the finals of the ProBot AI League. If you want to see the two best AI bots out there fight against each other, then check that out tomorrow.
Pretty sure like the best bots possible that are made
in the world.
By people, in the world, made by like people, not non-Google bots.
Exactly. I bet these bots could beat them now because they're doing it weird. Like
13, 12 bots.
Huh? Yeah, probably.
I'm gonna make 13, 12 bot.
That makes sense. It's a lot. One of the bots that we have that's in the finals for tomorrow does nothing in the bracket stage. It did nothing but pro brush, and in the in the semifinal, it did nothing but proxy zealot.
Yes,
that's funny.
Yeah, or I actually not proxy, just mass zealot.
Mass zealot
or gate zealot.
I'm actually going to ask somebody to make a no regret bot and see.
That'd be fun. I would
if it qualifies for Codas.
I wonder if like can they tweak their bots before? Like for example, if you're playing Proxy Reaper bot, can you tweak it to like?
So we did a group. It's a group stage where they had to submit, and that was a round robin. So you had to get through that. But then when we went to the bracket stage, and you knew who your opponent was going to be, you were allowed to program it specifically.
That's cool.
You can do some tweaks after the round of 8. They can tweak their bot, and then for semifinals and grand finals, they can tweak their bots slightly. So they have a portion of which they do. So, and sometimes people do kind of snipe their opponent by tweaking it based on what their opponent does. So that's cool. Here on Friday, tomorrow, grand finals for this season 2. And you can find me and all sorts of ESChamp stuff here. Last but not least, I was almost gonna do the thing, but in ESChamp Insider Club, Patreon. Yeah, we have a Patreon. All that stuff helps support the production. All those little videos we did for our segments were all brought to you by our Patreon. You guys out there helped support us enough for me to hire our video editor, and he also does the stuff for ProBots, do all the little interviews and stuff like that. So if you want to see some more of our production and help towards anything else that we may do, because we still have November and December, and I'm not going to say Kings of the North specifically, but Kings of the North is one of the stuff we do, and that could happen at any point. So there's that, and I think that's last but not least. Yeah. So this VOD will be up on YouTube. So if you missed it and you want to know, it'll be up on YouTube in next week. So if you like us, follow. If you love us, subscribe. Until then, we'll see you on Inside the Scene.